Chapter 1964. Your Highness, don't tell me you've been waiting for too long? Su Yan asked with a smile. My people have waited for so many years. A little more time won't make a difference. The Crown Princess looked at Su Yan with her beautiful black hair that fell to her waist. She said seriously, since you're so sincere, I can promise you on behalf of the Celestials that we won't touch any of the treasures in the Emperor's repository. You're in charge. My people only need to take the remains of our ancestors back to our people. With the Crown Princess's identity and status, she could naturally represent the Celestials. This surprised the eavesdropping Baokai. What was in the bracelet? Why did the Celestials value it so much? After all, the Crown Princess had just come out and paid a visit in the middle of the night. How could she not know the Celestials' intentions? It guessed that the bracelet was no small matter. Perhaps it contained a lost treasure of the Celestials or an ancestral scripture. In any case, the Celestials had sent the Crown Princess here. The more this was the case, the more Su Yan couldn't hand over the bracelet. At the critical moment, the Celestials could step forward to help him. In short, if the Celestials were sincere and wouldn't secretly attack him, he would consider returning the bracelet. Haha, since we've agreed, let's not idle around. Let's continue the battle. The Celestial Force King rushed toward the Crown Princess. He knew that the young Emperor's banquet had already begun. He planned to delay the Crown Princess and prevent her from leaving. When the time came, the young Emperor's expression would be extremely ugly. Although this would affect Su Yan, but Su Yan and the Xian people already had an irreconcilable grudge. Even if he didn't provoke the young Emperor, she would still target Su Yan in the future. Celestial Dragon Lady, why don't we have a spar? Su Yan laughed. These three were all peak powerhouses, and almost all of them had the means of invincible saints. To be able to spar with such people all day long would be of great help to Su Yan. Su Yan had never encountered a difficult battle in his history as a saint. Now that he was almost perfect, he could accumulate a lot of experience fighting with the invincible of his generation. Su Yan, see if I don't hit you. Sky Dragon, you instantly moved horizontally and raised your jade-like hands. The dragon might was as vast as the sea, and a gigantic dragon claw appeared at the peak of the sky. Tearing apart the firmament, this was the true dragon's claw. The silver dragon claw could pluck the stars and capture the moon at every turn. Its divine abilities were vast, and it toppled down like a bolt of lightning. It was as if the archaic dragon realm was sinking, and it wanted to swallow Su Yan. Come! Su Yan laughed uproariously. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. His figure shone brightly as he unleashed his peak creation-level battle prowess under the unparalleled dragon wrestling technique, causing the incoming dragon claws to tremble violently. This guy is really unfathomable. Heavenly Dragon Maiden's expression was solemn. The power of Su Yan's corporeal body was like an abyss, but also like the universe's ocean. The power that permeated the air made her heart palpitate. It's starting again, the Tiangang King shouted excitedly. In the divine devil chessboard, where the immortal king's psyche slaughtered, the four peak geniuses clashed intensely, exchanging blows back and forth. The battle soon entered a white-hot state. King Tianwu, the imperial planet, was in chaos. Wasn't the young emperor's banquet starting? Why was King Tianwu here? His figure was extremely tall and majestic, and his body was steaming with boundless qi and blood that could easily pierce through the firmament. It was like an immortal furnace burning, and there was a bone-chilling killing intent in it. The crowd was shocked. What was going on? What a troublemaker, Tianyang Bing frowned. He could guess why King Tianwu was here. King Tianwu had gone to Su Yan's cave abode on the Emperor Road and hadn't returned for an entire night. He was curious as to what had happened. After all, the Astral Cavern was a top-notch secret abode on the Imperial planet, and it was protected by all kinds of killing formations. Even Tianyang Bing couldn't see what had happened inside. King Tianwu went to the Astral Cavern. Someone said in shock, "Is he here for the princess?" "The princess has been in Su Yan's cave abode for an entire night. Do you think something else happened?" "Don't talk nonsense. Be careful not to get into big trouble." Some people were troubled. They naturally wanted to know what had happened as soon as possible. After all, the princess had not left for an entire night, and it was almost noon. If news of this got out, it would be no small matter. King Tianwu's expression was cold, and his body was exuding a powerful martial Dao aura. Along the way, he heard some gossip, and his face turned angry. Who was Su Yan? Even if he wasn't a young emperor, what right did the princess have to stay in Su Yan's cave abode for an entire night? King Tianwu was furious. The princess was the #1 woman in the immortal world, and everyone wanted to get close to her. But Su Yan, who had just arrived at the immortal's cave, had become a demon? "King Tianwu, what are you doing here?" King Tiangong's face darkened. He stood guard outside the courtyard and saw the unfriendly King Tianwu, as well as many experts from various races following him. "Go and inform Su Yan that I'm here. Ask him to come out," King Tianwu said coldly with an unquestionable tone. "Are you ordering me?" Sky Dipper King's face turned cold. He was also a king of a generation. He had the same status as Sky Dipper King. Although he admitted that he was not as strong as Sky Dipper King was still angry that Sky Dipper King was ordering him around like a slave. "Aren't you Su Yan's follower?" King Tianwu's words were harsh and humiliating. He said coldly, "Since you're just a gatekeeper, how can I wrong you just to pass on a message?" King Tiangang was enraged, and his Tiangang chi leaked out. He growled, "King Tianwu, don't go overboard." "Why? Do you want to attack me?" The Tianwu monarch laughed and looked down at him from above. He was like a god of martial arts and said coldly, "You are really not qualified. Not beating you is giving Su Yan face. Tell him to come out immediately." King Tianwu's aura was surging, and his body was blazing. He had cultivated the Xian people's immortal martial true body, and was filled with boundless yang and domineering aura, which pressured King Tiangang. "So what?" King Tiangang stood up, and his aura rose to the peak. He said coldly, "Also, Su Yan has important matters to attend to. He doesn't have time to bother with you. Go back to where you came from." "Ha ha ha, you're just a small King Tiangang. You dare to go against me just because of Su Yan?" King Tianwu was enraged. His qi and blood surged, condensing into martial Dao Heaven's will. It was so powerful that it was suffocating. He sneered, "Do you still remember your surname?" As he said that, heaven and earth resonated. Martial Dao aura filled the sky, and King Tianwu seemed to have turned into a peerless martial god. The sky was dark, and his aura was so terrifying that it made the void tremble. It was visible to the naked eye that even though King Tiangong's strength had soared recently, it was still hard for him to block King Tianwu's power. His Tiangang Qi storm was collapsing. What a dense martial Dao aura, as expected of a peak expert that participated in the great immortal demon war. The experts that followed were shocked. The martial Dao aura filled the sky, and it was even more turbulent than the ocean. It caused the rivers, mountains, and earth to tremble violently. King Tiangong's body trembled slightly, and he almost coughed out a mouthful of blood. He suppressed the blood in his heart and sneered, "Are you sure you want to barge into the Star Cave? The Heaven's Cave has a rule since ancient times. Those who are weaker than others are not qualified to occupy the best grotto heaven." King Tianwu's words were like thunder that exploded between heaven and earth. It shocked everyone. Was he going to start a war? But what surprised everyone was that King Tiangang took the initiative to open a path. That's right. King Tianwu's aura was majestic, and his aura was getting stronger. He also wanted to see how strong Su Yan, who had been causing a ruckus recently, was. "Don't blame me for not warning you." King Tiangang suddenly smiled evilly. Barging into Su Yan's cave without his permission is not a small matter. The spectators were confused. What did he mean? Could it be that Su Yan could beat up King Tianwu? After all, they were both peak talent. It would be difficult to determine the winner, not to mention injuring King Tianwu. He even dares to not attend the young emperor's banquet. This matter is even more serious. I want to see how difficult it is to invite Su Yan. King Tianwu's eyes flashed coldly, and he did not even look at King Tiangang. In fact, King Tiangang wanted to say that it was even more serious that the princess did not return for a night. But King Tianwu did not dare to say it out loud. He really went and barged into Su Yan's cave. The spectators were shocked. In a short time, King Tiangang and the others rushed over with gloomy expressions. They wanted to step into Su Yan's cave. But King Tiangang only said one sentence, and Wu Hong and the others fell silent. Su Yan had many friends in the Heaven's Cave. If something happened, Wu Hong and the others would not be able to sit still and would rush over. The current King Tianwu was truly brave. He had entered the Tao with martial arts and was worthy of being called a young god of war. His martial Tao aura was getting stronger. He was also very strong. He lifted his foot and stepped into the courtyard. This was a form of humiliation for Su Yan. But the moment King Tianwu's entire body entered the courtyard, he was stunned. It could be said that he was a little dizzy. In the divine demonic chessboard, the immortal king's killing intent bloomed. It was as if he had fallen into a land of death, and King Tianwu felt cold all over. Immediately after, the entire courtyard was filled with the roar of a sea of killing light. This was completely different from the seemingly peaceful courtyard outside. Inside the divine demonic chessboard, 4 peak talents were fighting. The sky was dark and the sun and moon were dim. Oh no, it's a peak killing formation. King Tiangang, you tricked me. King Tianwu's expression was ugly. He had a premonition of great danger. The killing intent here was too strong. In the gray spacetime, a giant beast appeared vaguely, and its roar shook the heavens. Roar, the divine tiger descended, and the killing intent was boundless. The roar was so intense that it made one's liver tremble. The heavenly dragon soaring sky. Was this a living true dragon? The ferocious aura was endless, and it was filled with a world-shaking dragon's might. It wanted to destroy a person's body and shatter King Tianwu's flesh shell. Of course, that was not all. The sky was filled with a rain of great Tao light, and it seemed to outline a blurry and mysterious ancient emperor. It exuded an invincible power, and it suppressed King Tianwu so much that he almost fell to the ground. The divine tiger roared, and the true dragon soared into the sky. This was a terrifying place of killing and war. This was the battlefield of the 4 peak talent. If an ordinary person stepped into this place, they would easily be threatened with death. And now, King Tianwu had barged in forcefully, angering the 4. Do you dare to take a punch from me? The heavenly dragon maiden was extremely domineering. She waved her dragon fist and attacked. King Tianwu roared and used his strongest battle strength to resist. But the heavenly dragon maiden was still the heavenly dragon maiden. She was invincible in her generation. King Tianwu's immortal body was not enough. The protective divine light exploded, and the shadow of death enveloped him. You want to join the battle? Are you qualified? The heavenly force king roared. His divine power surged, and he sent King Tianwu flying. King Tianwu was about to go crazy. What was going on? Especially the great Tao laws falling from the sky. They were like stars falling from the sky. This was a power that could kill him. Ah! King Tianwu roared and tried his best to resist. But what was the point? When the 4 peak experts were enraged, who could fight them? Even a young emperor would turn green in the face. Finally, Su Yan charged and kicked King Tianwu. The kick made him curl up like a shrimp, and he was in so much pain that he cried. Pfft! He coughed up blood in pain. His body and mind were torn apart. He almost died. He was sent flying and crashed outside the courtyard. Eruption, eruption, roar. Chapter 1965. Outside the star hole, Those who came to join in the fun were all stunned. What's going on? King Tianwu had just barged in for a few breaths when he was kicked out. He was heavily injured and covered in blood. He landed on the ground, creating a human-shaped pit. Fresh blood was a ghastly sight. The surrounding cultivators were all stunned. Someone said, "Am I seeing things?" King Tianwu was kicked out. Who did it? I'm a little dizzy. Someone's mind went blank. What just happened? What happened? How long has it been? King Tiangang sneered. This is the place where the top 4 heroes are fighting for supremacy. If it were any other invincible realm warrior, he would be threatened with death if he intruded, let alone you, King Tianwu. There were 4 of them, and they were fighting for supremacy. The entire battlefield was filled with killing and order. It would be strange if King Tianwu was not severely injured. However, the fact that he was able to survive meant that King Tianwu was very powerful. That is... Look, the spectating cultivators were stunned. The courtyard door opened and Su Yan, the Heavenly Force King, the Heavenly Dragon Maiden, and the Empress walked out one after another. This was a shocking scene. Because they were fighting for supremacy, King Tianli and the others' auras leaked out, forming a wave of energy that made everyone shiver from head to toe. How many years would it take to see such a scene? King Tianli and the other 2 were all peerless experts. Of course, many people did not know them and were dumbfounded when they heard the news. The 3 of them were in the Star Hole, and from the looks of it, they seemed to have fought for supremacy before. Someone wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He could guess that King Tianwu must have been suppressed by the 4 expert. Bastard! King Tianwu roared. His blood-stained hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were bloodshot. How could he not know King Tianli and the others? However, it was too late now. He had suffered too much just now and had accidentally entered the place where they were fighting for supremacy. It was equivalent to being suppressed. Su Yan, how dare you kick me? King Tianwu's face was ashen. It was fine that he was suppressed by Princess and the others, but it was Su Yan who kicked him out at the crucial moment. Tiangang King. Su Yan frowned. The Tiangang King thought that Su Yan was unhappy and didn't inform him in time. Who knew that Su Yan would stare at him as if he expected better from him? He said angrily, "Why didn't you say King Tianwu earlier? He trespassed into my cave. So what if I killed him? How do you want me to kill him now?" The entire world fell silent. To be honest, they were really frightened by Su Yan's words. So what if he killed him? After all, without the Master's permission, no one was allowed to enter the Imperial Star's immortal caves. Su Yan had the right to kill King Tianwu. That was in accordance with the rules. However, Su Yan did not know that the person who had just arrived was King Tianwu. Su Yan, don't think that you can do whatever you want in the Immortal Cave just because the Grand Immortal is protecting you. King Tianwu was so angry that his heart was trembling. He endured the pain all over his body and crawled up. His eyes were burning with anger as he said, "If it weren't for King Tianwu and the others, why would I be injured and want to kill me? I'll stand here and let you kill me. Do you dare?" In this world, there are still idiots who stand there and let others kill them. Su Yan laughed heartily as he walked up step by step. He looked at King Tianwu, who was covered in blood, and said, "You trespassed into my cave and still have such a high and mighty attitude. Xian people are really uneducated." Boom! In an instant, Su Yan's foot soared into the air again. It was extremely fast, and it carried a shocking power as it pressed down on King Tianwu's body. Everyone's hair stood on end. Su Yan really dared to attack. This foot was very bloody. It pressed down on King Tianwu's head, causing his knees to bend and kneel on the ground. With a miserable scream, King Tianwu's head was shattered into pieces. Blood gushed out and dyed the void red. His body was about to explode under Su Yan's foot. Countless people stared with their eyes wide open. Their bodies were filled with cold qi. This was King Tianwu, a peak hero who participated in the Great War of Immortals and Devils. Now that he was being stepped on by Su Yan, they were starting to doubt their lives. Su Yan was too daring. He really dared to attack. King Tianwu's eyes narrowed. He had been seriously injured earlier, and it was very difficult for him to reconstruct his physical body to fight against Su Yan's strength. His blood-stained body suddenly blazed as a huge golden seal flew out from his sea of consciousness. The golden seal was filled with boundless martial Tao heavenly might. It exploded in the sky with extreme power. Immortal martial seal, everyone was shocked. This was the famous supreme treasure of the Xian people. The seal shone brightly, and a lifelike immortal king was coiled above it. The power that surged out made all the living beings in the world tremble. This was an immortal king's supreme treasure. How could they resist it? The seal directly charged at Su Yan, wanting to kill him. Su Yan raised his hand, and the furnace of suppression was awakened. The pitch-black divine furnace collided with the immortal martial seal, erupting into a rain of destructive energy. Boom! The imperial planet was in chaos. The collision of the immortal king treasures woke up a large number of experts. A series of elders were furious. This was the imperial planet, a place of peace. The collision of the two immortal king weapons was a terrifying scene. The two treasures collided more than 10 times in a short period of time. Killing intent rose like a sea, and the impact was about to split the ground into pieces. The energy was too turbulent, and many people were about to be torn apart. Fortunately, this was the Imperial Star, and every inch of territory was protected by Celestial King Order laws. Otherwise, this territory would be destroyed and a great disaster would occur. Bastard, stop! Are you trying to rebel? The deacon of the Immortals' Cave was furious. He wanted to charge in and suppress the chaos. However, Immortal King weapons were not made of paper. Immortal King laws filled the sky, and even forbidden experts could not stop them. Su Yan, stop! Someone noticed that the Tianwu King was severely injured and was shocked. The great immortal devil war was about to begin. If the Tianwu King was severely injured, he would most likely lose the right to participate. Su Yan was tall and strong. He held the furnace of suppression and shouted, "The Tianwu King barged into my cave abode and tried to kill me with an immortal king weapon. He should be the one to stop." "Su Yan, hand over your life," the Tianwu King roared. The furnace of suppression belonged to the Xian people. Now that it was in the hands of the enemy, the Tianwu King really wanted to explode. He had already pushed the mark of an immortal king to the limit. He wanted to shatter the power of the immortal devil domain and blast Su Yan to smithereens. "Tianwu King, you are too presumptuous." The Tianwu King was enraged. The celestial devil chessboard floating in the courtyard came to life and rushed towards the mark of an immortal king. Plop! The crowd was trembling. The deacons were all scared and sweating profusely. They almost couldn't control themselves and fell to their knees. This was a terrifying heavenly might. The celestial devil chessboard's power was suffocating them, and they felt a sense of impending doom. Great accomplishment, immortal king weapon. The forbidden experts were all shocked, and their hearts were in turmoil. What was a mark of an immortal king? The moment the celestial devil chessboard closed in, the golden seal wailed. The lifelike figure of the martial Wei immortal king dimmed, and was about to be obliterated by the celestial devil chessboard. Su Yan and Baokai looked at each other, and their eyes flashed with shock. This weapon was beyond their expectations. No wonder the Tianwu King had spent 18 million points to get it. Strictly speaking, if this weapon was placed in a super auction, it would fetch a sky-high price. "You are too much. Tianwu King, you dare to suppress me?" The Tianwu King was furious. Who was he? What kind of race was the Xian people? But the Tianwu King dared to attack him. But in an instant, Su Yan's huge hand came crashing down. It landed squarely on the Tianwu King's face, and he screamed in pain. His body was torn apart, and he fell to the ground far away. "Su Yan, you!" The deacons were frantic. This attack was too vicious. If not for the great immortal elder, they would have attacked long ago. You barged into my cave abode and tried to kill me with an immortal king weapon. Su Yan's eyes flashed coldly and he shouted, Tianwu King, do you think the immortal's cave belongs to you Xian people? That you can do whatever you want? Su Yan, this world belongs to the monarch race. No one can change that. As for you, you are just an ant from the lower world. You won't live for long. The Tianwu King struggled in the pool of blood, and his anger exploded. As a top expert of the Xian people's younger generation, Tianwu King was honored. But now, he was beaten to the point where he couldn't even raise his head. The meaning of his words was obvious. Even if the great immortal elder spoke up for you, the Xian people couldn't stop them if they wanted to kill you. The Tianwu King screamed in pain, and his body was about to explode. Su Yan's bloody feet once again stepped on his broken body. This caused King Tianwu to feel despair. He could clearly feel a biting cold, killing intent. Moreover, there was a destructive energy that was destroying his life force. He felt that he was about to be crippled. Who do you think you are? Using your family to threaten me? Do you have any dignity as an expert? Are you worthy of participating in the great immortal war? Su Yan stared coldly at the Tianwu King, and there was killing intent in his eyes. Tianwu King, at this moment, Xian Chun arrived. When he saw the Tianwu King under Su Yan's foot, his expression changed. He growled, Su Yan you, he was terrified. What's going on? Did the Tianwu King lose? Kill him! The Tianwu King screamed. He didn't believe that the great immortal elder was willing to offend the entire Xian people for Su Yan. The young emperor was here, and he wanted to stay in the immortal elder courtyard, right? Xian Chun hesitated. This was too crazy. Kill Su Yan? He really didn't dare to do so in the immortal cave. Once he made a move, the situation would change completely. Oh my God, stop! Su Yan, don't be rash. Let go. Some people screamed in fear because Su Yan's hand was grabbing the Tianwu King's neck like he was grabbing a chick. Even now, you still dare to order people to kill me. The Xian people are really arrogant. Do you really think you can look down on everything? Su Yan said coldly. Su Yan, do you dare to kill me? The Tianwu King laughed crazily. He didn't believe that someone from the lower world would dare to kill him in the immortal cave. As you wish, I'll borrow your head. Su Yan's expression was completely cold. He directly took the Tianwu King's head off. It was an extremely bloody scene. Su Yan took the Tianwu King's head off. The aura he emitted was so cold that it reached the depths of their bones and could even freeze their souls. Third update. Chapter 1966. Everyone in the world went crazy. Was King Tianwu dead? His head was directly removed by Su Yan. He really dared to do it. A group of attendants from the Immortal Elder Institute sucked in a cold breath. This was a huge problem. There were also some who cursed King Tianwu in their hearts. What the hell is wrong with you? This ruthless scum even dared to kill Little Thunder, let alone you who provoked him again and again. King Tianwu. No, Su Yan, you lunatic, hand over your life. Xian Chun was furious. It could be said that his eyes were about to pop out of their socket. Su Yan had removed his head. Had the Xian people's young god of war fallen? Even if he didn't die, he would still be a shadow on his path to becoming a powerful expert in the future. He pounced at Su Yan. He had already lost his mind. The Xian people are really arrogant. One isn't enough. You want another one? Su Yan's expression was cold. His words penetrated everyone's hearts. The experts around him smiled bitterly. They were emperor clans, and sometimes had special privileges in the immortal cave. But who would have thought that Su Yan dared to remove King Tianwu's head? Impudent! King Tianwu pointed his finger. The divine and devil chessboard instantly spun. The dusky spacetime seemed to have covered the river of time, and chess pieces filled the sky. The seemingly small chess pieces actually had a violent aura. Each of them was like a comet in the universe. exuding an extremely terrifying might. A group of elders cried out in shock. This was the weapon of a great success, immortal king. What did Xian Chen count for? The chess pieces in the sky pressed down uniformly. Each chess piece was like an immortal king descending into the world, causing Xian Chen to howl in fear. His body was paralyzed on the ground, trembling like a little chick. Hiss, the crowd couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. Wasn't this set of treasures a little too frightening? A forbidden expert was suppressed to the point where he couldn't even raise his head. Moreover, this was only the divine and devil chessboard in its dormant state. Once it fully awakened, who could contend against it? Junior, who are you? Xian Chen screamed. He recognized King Tianwu, but didn't know who this person was. Calling me a junior? You think too highly of yourself. The emperor of the Xian people is more like it. The Heavenly Force King was enraged. He slammed his heavy palm forward, containing the power of dragon and tiger. After all, Xian Chen was already suppressed by the god and devil chessboard, so the Heavenly Force King's palm slammed into Xian Chen's flesh. Heavenly Power King, please show mercy. The nearby attendants spoke up one after another, their expressions anxious. This matter was too great, and news of it would quickly spread through Immortal Elder Academy. You are the Heavenly Power King, Xian Chen couldn't help but tremble. Although he was a taboo expert, how could he not understand the Heavenly Power King's power? Even the Xian elders of the Immortal Academy would treat the Heavenly Power King as a peer, let alone him. After all, they had sacrificed too much for the immortal realm, and were all great contributors. Show mercy. A trace of coldness flashed in the Sky Force King's eyes as he said coldly, "A deacon wants to kill Su Yan in public. Have the times changed? Have the rules of the immortal cave changed?" The attendants smiled wryly. Su Yan had taken the Heavenly Force King's head, so it would be strange if Xian Chen didn't go crazy. Su Yan's expression was cold. Holding the bleeding head, he secretly took out the immortal iron staff and the jar given to him by Dao Shi. These two trump cards were ready to be used at any time. This was because he had caught a boundless killing intent. A single thought could cause millions of li of corpses. The expert who came was extremely terrifying, and could cause a bloody disaster at any time, even killing him in an instant. Who is it? Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. He felt that this killing intent was more piercingly cold than any immortal king he had encountered. It was like a peerless war god looking down on the universe. The person hadn't even arrived, but the terrifying influence had already engulfed him. However, Su Yan wasn't affected. How strong was his spiritual will? An immortal king wouldn't be able to make him submit. Boom! The god and devil chessboard rumbled, almost breaking free from the Heavenly Force King's control. The Heavenly Dragon Maiden's expression darkened. She secretly took out the 10,000 dragon armor. She had already guessed who had come. Even though the Heavenly Force King was using all his strength to control the god and devil chessboard, it was still rumbling. This was an extremely powerful force, causing the god and devil chessboard to tremble. Xian Chen, who was suppressed within, roared and rushed out. Thump, 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 the sound of footsteps came, and a figure appeared, approaching from afar. In an instant it was boundlessly terrifying. Young Emperor! Countless people cried out in shock. A legendary existence had appeared. It was like a monarch looking down on the universe. Heaven and earth were pulsing, as if the entire imperial star was resonating. He walked over step by step, and the power that suppressed the heavens filled everyone's hearts in an instant. The masses really couldn't take it anymore and began to bow down in worship. This was a majesty that shook the ages. The great Tao of the imperial star swept over. It was as if a young emperor was here to command the world. The pale-faced man has really become an expert. The Heavenly Force King's heart sank. Back then, they were at the same level. Now, the young emperor was high above, looking down on them. The young emperor wore a green robe, and his face was like jade. He was so young that it was hard to believe that he was an immortal king. "Princess, long time no see." The young emperor chuckled, and his eyes fell on the princess's body. In the past, they were on equal footing. Now, the young emperor's eyes were slightly scrutinizing the woman he yearned for day and night. In fact, at the young emperor's level, there were naturally many women in the immortal world who were as beautiful as the princess. But to the young emperor, conquering the princess and winning the heart of the immortal world's #1 woman was bound to be a winner in life. The empress nodded slightly and stood there calmly. Her golden armor shone brilliantly, making her look like a golden empress. She attracted the attention of everyone present. Only now did they realize that the empress was also here, and it was even the heavenly dragon lady. "Heavenly Force King, you're still so hot-tempered." In the next moment, the young emperor's gaze fell on the heavenly Force King, and he released the suppression of the celestial and demonic chessboard. The heavenly Force King snorted. This guy was really something. He had just arrived, and he was already putting on a show of strength. If it weren't for the crowd, the young emperor would have taught him a lesson. In the past, the Heavenly Force King had given the young emperor many nicknames. The two of them often fought, but the Heavenly Force King knew that his combat strength was inferior to the young emperor's. Of course, the Heavenly Force King was not afraid. Finally, the young emperor's gaze fell on Su Yan. In an instant, the immortal king's heavenly aura descended. Su Yan felt like he had fallen into the sea of death. The world was filled with a great power of fear. It was like crushing an ant, trying to destroy Su Yan's body and soul. Boom! Su Yan's body blazed. The silent little pagoda in his sea of consciousness turned faintly, grinding away the spiritual attacks. "Young Emperor, don't go too far." The heavenly dragon maiden's expression changed. She wanted to help Su Yan, but to the surprise of the young emperor, Su Yan's sea of consciousness was guarded by a super-powerful weapon. The people around were shocked. What was going on? The young emperor had obviously gone mad. Unfortunately, Su Yan was unharmed. He stood tall and straight, his long black hair draped over his shoulders. He was holding a blood-stained head. However, the head was sent flying, and the corpse on the ground rumbled along with it. Immortal King Regeneration Pill. The older generation was shocked. This was a ridiculously expensive pill. The young emperor had directly dissolved the Immortal King Regeneration Pill to extend King Tianwu's life. The golden pill, the size of a longan, was refined with the blood of an immortal king. It emitted a sea of vitality and penetrated King Tianwu's body. The wounds on his body were healing, and even the head that had been cut off was beginning to reattach. Baotsai's eyes widened. This was the Immortal King Regeneration Pill that Big Goldie had ordered them to get. His head had been removed, but this pill was able to pull the Tianwu king back from the brink of death. One had to admit that this pill was extremely valuable. "Junior, you've gone too far. You dare to kill King Tianwu in the deity's cave. You've got guts." The young emperor looked at Su Yan as if he was looking down on him. His vast aura surged toward Su Yan. The power was too shocking. It was even more serious than the collapse of the astral sea. The furnace of suppression that was guarding Su Yan was rumbling and was almost sent flying out. Su Yan's hair flew wildly. He shouted angrily, "I killed him. I didn't expect this trash to be worth an Immortal King Regeneration Pill. How dare you?" The young emperor was furious. "How dare you talk back to me? The people of the human world are indeed rebellious." With that, the young emperor raised his hand and pressed down on Su Yan. This was not because of King Tianwu, nor was it because of the enmity between him and the Immortal Clan. Su Yan was actually so close to the Empress. If this were to spread, he would lose face. Thus, he directly attacked and taught Su Yan a lesson. "Rebel my ass!" Su Yan cursed. He held the immortal iron staff. If the young emperor dared to suppress him, he would fight back. Baotsai's nose almost went crooked. "Me?" The Tianli King and Heavenly Dragon Maiden were enraged. They moved to Su Yan's side and took out their weapons to stop the young emperor. You only know how to fight among yourselves. You haven't paid any price for the celestial realm. You're just a temporary resident of the deity's cave. What right do you have to live on the imperial planet? How dare you be so disrespectful and rude to me? You're really bold. The young emperor's expression became colder. He ignored the Heavenly Dragon Maiden and the Tianli King. He wanted to suppress Su Yan. Su Yan's eyes widened in anger. His aura was terrifying. The bronze puppet was reviving and began to give Su Yan the power to surpass the imperial level. He wanted to enter the forbidden realm. Suddenly, Su Yan's emotions were greatly shaken. He realized that when he started to obtain the forbidden power, the small tower in his mind seemed to be under his control. Su Yan was overjoyed. The small tower was so terrifying that it could even suppress a titled emperor. At this moment, the Phoenix King and the old monkey arrived. They worked together to block the young emperor's giant palm. You dare to stop this emperor with just you? The young emperor said coldly. I dominated the celestial realm. You weren't even born yet. Do you think you're qualified? You're the one who talks big. The Heavenly Monkey King coldly spoke, his battle blood burning all over his body, erupting with the might of a golden age. His entire body instantly became countless times more terrifying, an indomitable heavenly monkey filling the sea of stars. He shouted, There are many experts who have lived longer than you in this world, but you are merely a celestial king. What qualifications do you have to be called an emperor? If the Dark World's attack hadn't been slow these tens of millions of years, would it be difficult for me to become an emperor? The young emperor was extremely confident. He was filled with boundless arrogance. The Tianli King couldn't stand it anymore. He wasn't called the Awesome King for nothing. To become an emperor, one had to kill all the Dark World's celestial kings. Only by killing enough would one be qualified to become an emperor. The Dark World's experts in the Three Realms battlefield are as common as clouds. You can go ahead. No one will stop you. The old monkey mocked. Why do you have to find such an excuse? Do you think everyone in the world is an idiot? Ignorant monkey! The young emperor's hand exuded a godly and saintly aura that seemed to cover the entire imperial star. It could be said that he could summon clouds with a flip of his hand and rain with a flip of his hand. In the blink of an eye, he was going to suppress the Heavenly Monkey King. Brothers, please support me with your monthly votes. Chapter 1967. Heavenly Saint King roared at the sky. Ignorant monkey? The young emperor's words caused a huge uproar. The Heavenly Monkey King was not to be trifled with. He used to be a top talent in the Immortal Grotto, but the young emperor called him ignorant. This was too serious. A loud explosion sounded. The entire magnificent emperor's star rumbled, and the mountains rumbled. The energy fluctuation was too shocking, waking up countless cultivators. The immortal elder courtyard was in an uproar. Who was using force? This was the power of an immortal king. A palm, suddenly boundless, replaced the sky in an instant, encompassing the universe's sea of stars. One hand covers the sky. The various immortal elders in the immortal elder courtyard were shocked. This was the peerless supreme art of the Xian people. Even the immortal cave did not collect it. An immortal king used this supreme art. Was there a bloody battle between immortal kings? In the next moment, the emperor's star shook violently. The boundless giant palm revealed a power that could suppress all life in the universe. Waves of terrifying airflow flowed out, making the immortal kings lose their composure. The power was unimaginable, and the environment of the emperor's star was instantly suppressed. Ha ha ha, our young emperor is invincible, and immortal kings are also invincible. What is a mere old monkey? Immortal Chun roared like a madman. The young emperor was definitely the symbol of invincibility. He used a powerful move to suppress the old monkey with one hand. If he really did it, It would be enough to prove that the young emperor was invincible in the immortal king realm. This was a symbol that was even more glorious than the young emperor in the past. Suppress. The young emperor was majestic, dominating the world and looking down on his peers. What was an immortal king? He could still look down on them and suppress them. The belief of invincibility had always been with the young emperor. The giant palm was blazing, sputtering out rolling divine light, so bright that it was almost impossible to open one's eyes. The palm was as huge as the abyss. The sun, moon, and stars in the sky revolved around his fingertips. The sea of stars in the palm fell, covering the entire space. Heavenly Monkey King Wu Hong and the others lost control and shouted. This was their old friend. Back then, they left the immortal cave because the old immortal kings were about to pass away. Now, the Heavenly Monkey King was already in the immortal king realm, but he was old and weak. Was he going to face the misfortune of being suppressed by the young emperor with one hand? This was a great humiliation. With the old monkey's unyielding nature, this was even worse than killing him. Roar! In that instant, the Heavenly Monkey King roared towards the sky, its chest full of anger engulfing the 9 heavens. At this moment it was extremely terrifying. Its vitality was like a sea, golden blood and chi flourishing. What's that? The people of the world cried out in shock. Wasn't the Monkey King already old? But now, the Monkey King was extremely powerful. The originally dim golden light suddenly erupted with a blazing brilliance that overflowed into the heavens. It was as if it had transformed into an archaic giant ape, stepping on the sun, moon, and starry skies. It was so powerful that it caused everyone to tremble. Father! Heavenly Saint King roared emotionally. His chest heaved up and down violently as his emotions exploded. The Celestial Monkey King had completely refined the precious fluid from the cosmic stones. His waning chi and blood were now vigorous. He was no longer aging, but had returned to his golden years. He brandished a huge golden fist and charged toward the young emperor's giant hand. Break! The old monkey roared, causing Wu Hong and the others to cry out in excitement. It was still so domineering, unyielding, and courageous. So what if it was Xiao Di? The Celestial Monkey King's fist was huge, and it landed solidly on Xiao Di's hand. Clang! Loud noises rang out. It was as if a destructive cosmic hurricane had swept across the land, causing the imperial star to shine brilliantly, blocking the killing storm of the immortal king. Otherwise, the core of the immortal cave would have been destroyed. Visible to the naked eye, the grand vision of Xiao Di's giant palm was collapsing. This scene touched everyone's heart. Could it be that even the tyrannical Xiao Di of the Monkey King was no match for it? After all, the Monkey King had been an immortal king for a long time. There was no doubt about that. Similarly, the Monkey King was also one of the strongest immortal kings in the immortal world. Blood, there's blood, everyone in the world exclaimed. There was blood splattered everywhere, dyeing the world red. Who was injured? Was it Xiao Di or Celestial Monkey King? Brother Monkey Wu Hong and the others growled. This was the monkey's blood. It was golden and very familiar. The monkey was injured. The Celestial Monkey King's fist was bleeding. The Xiao Di had injured him instead of Xiao Di's hand. Is Xiao Di really invincible? Even immortal kings can be invincible? Is he going to be invincible in the future? Is he going to be invincible in the immortal world? Many people were shocked. The immortal elders of Immortal Academy were all trembling with fear. Was Xiao Di invincible among immortal kings? If that was the case, then the immortal world's influence in the 3 realms battlefield would be shocking. Break again! The Celestial Monkey King roared. He was not discouraged, nor did he despair. His battle aura became even stronger, shaking the land. His body was as huge as a giant spirit of heaven and earth. He once again swung his blood-stained fist, smashing Xiao Di's hand. Ha ha ha, ridiculous! A crippled old monkey dares to block the might of Xiao Di? You're just asking to be humiliated. What's funny is that you said you would protect Su Yan in King City. You're not qualified. Xian Chen sneered. What kind of existence was Xiao Di? Even if the old monkey stood in his golden years, he could not compare to Xiao Di when he was young. Shut up, old dog! Heavenly Saint King roared and swung his golden iron staff at Xian Chen. A taboo expert dared to humiliate the old monkey in front of everyone. This made Heavenly Saint King go crazy. He wanted to kill Xian Chen. Ignorant monkey! Xian Chen looked up to the sky and laughed, imitating the young emperor's tone to belittle Sky Saint King. His aura suddenly became much more terrifying. Although he was injured earlier, he was still a taboo-level expert. His roaring might of the human body blocked Sky Saint King's attack. Heavenly Saint King, you dare to be violent here? Do you think you're Xiao Di? Divine Demon Feather, who was almost killed by Su Yan, stood out and sneered. He came from the primordial Divine Demon clan and was the archenemy of the Heavenly Monkey clan. He could not wait for the old monkey to be killed by Xiao Di. Wu Hong and the others looked terrible. Heavenly Saint King did not have a Celestial King weapon. After all, the Heavenly Monkey clan was much weaker. Heavenly Saint King had used his points to exchange for all kinds of rare treasures. After all, a Celestial King weapon was too expensive. Moreover, Heavenly Saint King had only participated in the battle of immortals and demons once. He was not as rich as Heavenly King and the others. Kill! Heavenly Saint King was furious. He swung his golden iron staff and attacked Divine Demon Feather. The large rod was terrifying, and the battle energy within it surged wildly. This strike was exceptionally powerful, and even the heavens and earth were trembling. The saint might was boundless, and it pressed down like a bolt of lightning. It carried an unparalleled might, and it made Demonic Feather's expression change. He could not be defeated. He could not be matched. After all, Heavenly Saint King had participated in the great battle of immortals and demons. Divine Demon Feather had just arrived at the Heaven's Cave. How could he defeat Heavenly Saint King? Ignorant monkey, how dare you behave so atrociously in the Immortal Cave? You should be suppressed. Immortal Celestial sneered and pointed with his finger, trying to suppress the furious Heavenly Saint King. However, the pride on Immortal Celestial's face did not last long. A figure with an aura that could destroy the heavens and earth crossed over. Its power was so terrifying that it caused the heavens and earth to disintegrate. Who is it? Immortal Celestial's expression changed. He gathered all his forbidden power to resist the incoming expert. However, he could not see who it was. After all, the Heavenly Monkey clan did not have any experts in the Immortal Elder Institute. The figure that rushed over was burning brightly. It was as if a sleeping forbidden god of war had come back to life. His entire body was burning with raging flames. Forbidden, this was forbidden power. The humanoid puppet made of ancient bronze immortal crystal had been repaired to the forbidden level. Now that it was activated by Su Yan, it merged with its flesh and blood and gave Su Yan forbidden power. Boom! Su Yan threw a punch. The forbidden light rain collapsed, and Immortal Celestial screamed in pain. His body was almost torn apart. You old dog, you won't be able to redeem yourself even if you die 100 times. Su Yan roared. In an instant, his feet stepped on Xian Chen's body, trampling him under his feet. The onlookers were shocked. It was Su Yan who had forbidden power. How did he do it? Moreover, this forbidden power was so fierce that it wanted to tear Su Yan's body apart. It was obvious that the humanoid puppet was too terrifying. Su Yan could not control it. Instead, he was threatened. Su Yan clenched his fists and used the power of the furnace of suppression to suppress his body that was about to collapse. Let me do it. The Heavenly Force King stretched out his hand. The celestial devil chessboard changed instantly, and a black and white storm rained down. The black and white chess pieces shone brightly and covered Su Yan's body in an instant, stabilizing his trembling body. At this moment, Su Yan was extremely terrifying. He had turned into a celestial devil immortal king. His roar shook the starry sky and his feet trampled the earth. "Young Emperor, save me!" Immortal Celestial screamed in despair. The great success Celestial King weapon suppressed Su Yan's body, but also gave him unparalleled combat power. After all, Su Yan's puppet could merge with his body. At this moment, he had boundless combat power. His foot stomped on Immortal Celestial's body until it was torn apart. On the other side, the Celestial Devil Feather was beaten to a pulp by the Celestial Saint King. "Bastard, how dare you attack again?" The young Emperor was furious. He stared coldly at Su Yan and raised his other hand to attack Su Yan. No! Immortal Celestial screamed in fear. Su Yan crushed Immortal Celestial's body like a bug, and exploded it into a rain of blood. This scene shocked the surrounding people, causing them to scream uncontrollably. Was he crazy? He killed Immortal Celestial and stomped him to death, as if he was a bug. The young Emperor was here. Su Yan dared to kill Immortal Celestial in such a way. Was he not afraid of death? "Bastard, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." The young Emperor was furious. His eyes were filled with killing intent. At the same time, Su Yan's eyes were filled with coldness. He secretly summoned the small pagoda and was ready to kill the young Emperor. However, just as his hand was about to press down on Su Yan, there was a loud roar that shook the universe. The old monkey had awakened. It stepped on the universe and the stars above its head. Behind him, the figure of an unrivaled river of time faintly appeared, filling up the world. It was too large and grand, crushing the sun, moon, and great stars, terrifying to the point of making immortal kings shiver in fear. The immortal iron staff floating in Su Yan's body resonated with the huge Dharma idol brand behind the old monkey. The old monkey let out an earth-shattering roar. Whose disciple was it? Although it had been taught for some time and corrected the path of the Celestial King, the old monkey still regarded the Celestial Monkey as its master and worshipped its statue all year round. It had received a part of the Celestial Monkey's orthodoxy and displayed its invincible brand. At this moment the old monkey was terrifying. With a loud roar, the figure behind it released endless holy light that swept across the sky and earth. The pressure was so great that even the Emperor's star was wailing. The young Emperor trembled. The power of the invincible lineage hit him in the face. He trembled all over and couldn't help but fall. The Monkey King erupted with power as he waved his iron cudgel. Dazzling light shone as 3 golden words appeared in the sky, requesting monthly votes. Chapter 1968. The supreme figure and terrifying majesty seemed to be bombarding the long river of time. The old monkey let out an earth-shattering roar. His body was blazing, carrying the inheritance of the invincible bloodline. His body was so terrifying that it was about to fill the entire universe. The entire imperial star was shaking as if it was about to collapse. In an instant, protective light spread all over the imperial star. After all, this star was the place where immortal kings proved their Tao. There were many top caves and supreme caves here. The power released by the old monkey was too shocking. As a result, the imperial star was completely revived and resisted the supreme power of the world. Otherwise, who knew how many experts would have died? The young emperor screamed and fell, his body splattered with blood. Everyone in the world was silent. Countless cultivators trembled. The young emperor was defeated by the old monkey. His body smashed onto the ground. Had the legend of invincibility come to an end? The hearts of the experts were complicated. They didn't know what to say. In an instant, the aura released by the old monkey shook the heavens and the earth, sweeping across the entire imperial star. Everyone's hearts were filled with fear. Even the immortal kings were no exception. This was a supreme pressure that covered their bodies. The power of a great success, immortal king, a series of immortal kings exclaimed. Their eyes flashed with shock. The immortal kings couldn't sit still anymore because the old monkey had used a little of the battle prowess of a great success, immortal king. This was too shocking. No wonder the Monkey King was called an invincible immortal king. It turned out that he could unleash some of the battle prowess of a great success, immortal king. Then, could it be said that the future Monkey King had a great chance of crossing into the realm of a great success, immortal king? If this was really the case, a giant would be born in the immortal world. He would look down on the world and have a great chance of becoming an immortal emperor. Many disciples in the immortal cave felt their hair stand on end. They didn't expect that immortal kings were divided into realms. The old monkey was a peak immortal king, but if he took another step forward, he would be a great success immortal king. This kind of person was too rare. He was extremely majestic, and his divine might was world-shocking. The inheritance of the invincible bloodline? A week-old cultivator walked over. His turbid eyes stared at the old monkey. He barely used a little of the battle prowess of a great success, immortal king. He saw some clues. It originated from the supreme inheritance that the old monkey had once obtained. This inheritance was very impressive. The giant who created this inheritance should be an invincible being. Great success, immortal king. Su Yen was pleasantly surprised. The old monkey's aura was too shocking. The indistinct and supreme figure behind him almost merged with him. Boom! The next moment, heaven and earth resonated, and the entire imperial star was engulfed by a destructive force. The old monkey raised his hand and pressed down on Xiao Di. An eye for an eye. Just now, Xiao Di wanted to suppress the old monkey, and now, the old monkey wanted to do the same to Xiao Di. Young Emperor, the experts of the Xian people growled. If the young emperor was really defeated by the old monkey, the reputation that the young emperor had built up would be destroyed. The old monkey was ferocious and domineering. The giant golden palm came crashing down. This strike was extremely terrifying. The entire universe trembled. It was as if it was suppressing a short and small immortal king. Roar! The young emperor's hair danced as he let out a long roar. He was really angry. He got up in an instant. His body was blazing and his blood was burning. The heaven-opening immortal sutra was operating, and a divine and holy energy was rising. Suddenly, an indistinct and majestic figure appeared behind the young emperor. It was as if the king of emperors had crossed the river of time and turned into an immortal emperor, exuding supreme order and law. This was very terrifying. The large stars that filled the sky exploded, turning into resplendent energy radiance. If this was not the immortal cave, it would not be able to withstand their battle. The young emperor roared and charged. His aura was extremely terrifying. He also had a little of the battle prowess of a great success, immortal king. The terrifying pair. The battle erupted. Brilliant energy rain fell from the sky. The Monkey King and the young emperor fought. Their bodies rushed to the imperial star, and a great battle broke out in the brilliant sea of stars. Unbelievable! Someone broke out in cold sweat. This instantly caused a powerhouse of the Xian people to roar. What are you questioning? The young emperor is invincible, and immortal kings are also invincible. Moreover, the Xian people are the emperor race. We have the heaven-opening immortal sutra. What is a mere ignorant monkey? The heavenly saint king roared. His eyes were bloodshot. The divine demon feather had been severely injured. If it were not for old Xian stopping him, he would have killed the divine demon feather. Smack! In an instant there was a thunderous explosion. The powerhouse who insulted the old monkey suffered a terrible blow. His entire face collapsed. Su Yen attacked aggressively. He slapped the Xian people twice in a row. The powerhouse screamed and struggled in a pool of blood. You think the Monkey King is someone you can insult? Die! Su Yen stepped forward. His body was covered in divine demon chi, and he was filled with boundless power. He swung his fist at the powerhouse of the Xian people. Su Yan, how dare you! In the end, old Xian of the Xian people couldn't sit still and rushed over. His eyes were as cold as purgatory. He shouted, Su Yan, you dare to commit murder in the immortal grotto and even killed Xian Chen? Are you trying to rebel? Old Ninth Xian, you are wrong. The Heavenly Force King said coldly, a puny Xian Chen dares to insult the Monkey King. If he doesn't die, the heavens will not tolerate it. A piece of trash. So what if I kill him? The Heavenly Saint King said angrily. A puny young emperor is not even a member of the Immortal Elder Academy. What right does he have to enter the Immortal Grotto? What a joke. Our young emperor doesn't even have the right to enter the Immortal Grotto? I think you all want to rebel. Xian Weihuan was furious. His eyes were as cold as purgatory, shooting out 2 rays of cold light. He really couldn't help but kill. So what if I rebel? Su Yan roared to the sky, a bullshit young emperor. Does he think the Immortal Grotto is his own backyard? He even wants to target me. He is even more vicious than the Thunder Immortal Elder. Bastard! Xian Weihuan was furious. Su Yan's words spread throughout the Immortal Grotto, causing a huge uproar. In fact, no one expected such a big thing to happen today. Get over here, you ant! The great battle at the peak of the sky was engulfed by a destructive storm. At this moment, a large hand suddenly stretched out and covered Su Yan. Stop! The Chaos Immortal Elder was furious and wanted to stop it. But who knew that Su Yan would soar into the sky and rush to the top of the sky, taking the initiative to attack the giant hand. After being threatened by the young emperor, Su Yan was full of anger. He roared and activated the small pagoda in his sea of consciousness. Su Yan, come back quickly! The Phoenix King was shocked and took out the Emperor token to attack. Crazy, crazy! Many people lost control and shouted. Was Su Yan crazy? This was the young Emperor. Even if he had many tricks up his sleeve, he was not an immortal king. How could he stop the young Emperor? Su Yan's move was like a moth to a flame. Many people were shocked. The young emperor's giant hand was infinitely close to Su Yan. But at the moment when it was about to crush him, Su Yan's forehead burned brightly and the small pagoda was activated. Of course, with Su Yan's strength, he could not release the full power of the small pagoda. Even so, the mere act of resurrection was enough to crush everything in its path. The power of the awakening of this terrifying weapon of mass destruction was enough to shatter the young emperor's palm. Even his massive arm was about to be pulverized. Su Yan roared. He had exhausted his strongest power. He wanted to move the small pagoda and kill the young emperor. Unfortunately, Su Yan could not do it. After all, small pagoda's spiritual will was in a deep slumber. It had been nourished by the Universe Stone and was in a deep slumber. However, even if a portion of its divine might was awakened, it would still cause one of its arms to collapse. How is this possible? Countless people screamed. What kind of power was that? What kind of super-killing weapon was hidden in Su Yan's head? It had seriously injured the young emperor. Xian Weihuan's expression changed drastically. He had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the young emperor was seriously injured. The old monkey's aura covered the starry sky and a terrifying power came crashing down. The young emperor's body trembled, as if his flesh and blood were about to explode. Kill! The Monkey King roared. He was going to kill the young emperor. This kid was too much. The Monkey King's terrifying killing intent stirred up a storm in the immortal cave. His bloody fist smashed down and was about to turn the young emperor into a pile of ashes. No, Xian Weihuan was shocked. He even found that he could not move. All the immortal kings who wanted to help the young emperor could not move. They were imprisoned because the great immortal elder was here. His turbid eyes shone brightly. Just as the young emperor was about to explode, His broken body suddenly became much more terrifying. The seal on his body was broken, and his aura suddenly skyrocketed. Endless pressure spread out, and everyone had to kneel on the ground. Why did you hide it? Su Yen was trembling. Even with the divine devil chessboard protecting him, he was still crushed by the endless pressure. But the young emperor was clearly a super expert. Why did he hide it? Xian Weihuan's expression was extremely ugly. In the end, he exploded. Great success, Immortal King, you're really stupid. The old monkey's expression was gloomy. He kept retreating. He could not touch this power. Otherwise, his injuries would relapse. You're all going to die. The young emperor was covered in blood. It was so terrifying that it made all living things tremble. His body seemed to have evolved into a condensed immortal world, and the old monkey's qi and blood trembled. However, the young emperor's target was not the old monkey, but Su Yen. He came roaring. If not for Su Yan's divine devil chessboard and furnace of suppression, his body would have been destroyed. A supreme crisis struck, and the shadow of death enveloped him. Su Yen was calm. His eyes were cold, and his black hair was loose. He held the immortal iron staff, and was about to use the killing move left behind by the sky monkey. Kill! The young emperor roared. A puny Su Yen had forced him to use his trump card. He deserved to die. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. No matter how fast the young emperor was, no matter how powerful his aura was, the distance between the young emperor and Su Yen was like a whole new universe. No matter how fast he was, he could not get close to Su Yen. It's you. Why are you stopping me? Why? The young emperor's expression was cold. He was the war god of the immortal world. For Su Yen, the great immortal elder stood out to stop him. What was a person from the lower world? So what if he killed him? The old cultivator was already here. He was old and weak, as if a gust of wind could blow him away. Ordinary people could not see how strong he was. Only immortal kings could sense it. He was like a supreme god, walking step by step, as if he was stepping on the river of time. He had walked through thousands of eras, but no one could find his true body. The river of time and space. The empress shouted, "Great immortal elder!" Su Yen stood in the river of time and space. He saw blurry rivers of time and space flowing through thousands of eras. They surged in the river of time and space. It was so terrifying that it almost set off a titled monarch. The old cultivator looked at the young emperor in disappointment. He had once thought highly of the young emperor. The young emperor could clearly sense his disappointment. He was angry. He was now a great success immortal king, but the great immortal elder was old and weak. He should have abdicated. Chapter 1969. The great immortal was old and frail. His steps were slow and he couldn't be considered powerful, but the emperor's star erupted with heaven overflowing waves. Everywhere was a boiling cauldron of voices. The storm was too shocking. This was the voice of the great immortal, one of the leaders of the immortal world. One could imagine just how high his status was. It really is the great immortal. The Heavenly Force King and the other peerless Ingjie were all shouting excitedly. It was the great immortal who had disappeared for a long time. Who would have thought he would appear today? Mu Xian was stunned. She didn't expect that the old man she met at the stone tablet in the treasury was the legendary great immortal elder. Even Su Yan's blood was boiling. He didn't expect that they had already met the great immortal elder. Some girls screamed because they had seen this elder many times. They thought he was an errand boy on the Emperor's star, but they never thought he was the legendary great immortal who had nurtured the Empress and the others. The great immortal was once an emperor of a generation, known as the Spacetime Emperor. He was the leader of the great immortal elders of the Immortal Elder Academy. He didn't belong to the great clans, nor did he belong to the emperor clans. His power was enough to establish the glory of the emperor clans, but he didn't. He didn't even have a son. The great immortal had devoted his entire life to the immortal world. He had made great contributions. Legend had it that the space-time emperor was seriously injured in the bloody battle against the Dark World and fell from his throne. Now that he had appeared, the waves were even more terrifying. A group of immortal elders from the Immortal Elder Academy stood out and paid their respects as disciples. Young Emperor didn't expect the great immortal, who was already frail, to have such a shocking influence in the immortal cave. His biting cold aura was slightly restrained. However, young Emperor wasn't willing to let Su Yan go just like that. He dared to kill the Xian people, and almost killed the Tianwu king. If he didn't suppress Su Yan, he wouldn't have any face left. Coming majestically and leaving with his tail between his legs wasn't young Emperor's style. Great Immortal, are you going to protect a sinner? Young Emperor pointed at Su Yan and said sternly, Xian Chen just fell, killed by him. The immortal cave has strict rules since ancient times. How can they be broken? His voice was loud and clear, spreading all over the imperial planet. If they backed out like this, it would be the Xian people who would lose face. The king of Bulsh *T is still the king of Bulsh *T. A dog can't stop itself from eating shit. You still want to arm wrestle with the great immortal? The Celestial Force King sneered. Did the young emperor really think he was qualified to speak to the great immortal as an equal? However, none of this was important. The great immortal elder had trained the young emperor before. Would the young emperor not be able to call the great immortal elder senior? Great immortal! The old monkey walked up and bowed respectfully. This matter started because of me. It's really difficult for me to control my emotions. Junior will accept any punishment and will not complain. His words were simple and clear, not speaking any unnecessary words. He believed that the great immortal elder would handle things impartially. Get up. Grand Immortal wore a gray robe. His body was very thin and tall. His turbid eyes scanned Celestial Monkey King and said, Celestial Monkey King, you are not bad. The Monkey King was overjoyed. It was indeed a great honor to be acknowledged by the great immortal. He could not help but straighten his back. The young emperor's expression darkened. He asked tentatively, Great Immortal Elder, are we just going to let this go? Xian Chen died for nothing? Little Xian Chen, how dare you slander a hero of the immortal world? He deserves to die, the great immortal replied calmly. No one could tell what he was thinking, but his words were so heavy that many people felt suffocated and trembled. Especially the Xian people, Elder Xian Wei Huan, whose expression changed drastically. Wasn't this too biased? The Monkey King was a hero. No one could refute that. But was the young emperor not a hero? Were there no heroes among the Xian people? Was the young emperor not allowed to even mention a word? I don't accept this. The young emperor's eyes were spitting fire. He was trying his best to restrain himself and not release too much of his aura. After all, the great immortal elder's prestige was too great. Even if he went and defeated the great immortal elder, he would still incite the wrath of the entire world. The Xian people were suddenly terrifying. But the great immortal elder was the space-time emperor. No one dared to question his contributions to the immortal world. No one would doubt that he was one of the greatest contributors to the immortal world. Young emperor, do you admit to your crimes? The great immortal elder looked at him with his cloudy eyes. I admit to my crimes? Shouty's eyes widened, burning with rage. What was this? He was the young emperor of a generation, and the great immortal elder was asking him if he admitted to his crimes? This annoyed him. Xian Wei Huan took a deep breath and walked up. Great immortal elder, the young emperor has just stepped into the realm of great success, Immortal King. He hasn't had time to go to the Three Realms battlefield. I hope the great immortal elder can forgive the young emperor for his great contributions to the immortal world. What's going on? Does a great success Immortal King have to go on a special mission? Bao Kai and the others were shocked. Did one have to go to the battlefield after becoming a great success immortal king? The heavenly dragon maiden answered their questions. Becoming an immortal king meant that one had to shoulder the responsibility of the immortal world's rise and fall. Any one of them had to go to the three realms battlefield and fight for 10,000 years. After all, great success immortal kings were the pillars of the immortal world. The reason why the Phoenix King created the immortal Phoenix Army was because he had fought for 10,000 years in the 10 great battlefields and then stepped into the three realms battlefield. After 30,000 years, he had even stepped into the realm of immortal kings. The Phoenix King was also known as an invincible immortal king. He had used a lot of great success immortal king's battle power. After all, he was a true phoenix. Coupled with his great contributions, he had too many followers. The death rate of the three realms battlefield was very high. Some people were unwilling to go. However, this was the rule of the immortal world. Every great success immortal king had to guard the three realms battlefield for 10,000 years. They couldn't return even if they were severely injured. The death rate was very high. Xian people were worried that the young emperor would die, so they didn't let him go to the three realms battlefield. Otherwise, the young emperor wouldn't have deliberately suppressed his battle power. Contributions. Great Immortal Elder frowned. He looked at Xian Weihuan and said, "What contributions did he have?" "Great Immortal Elder, what do you mean?" Xian Weihuan was angry. What did Great Immortal Elder mean? After suppressing Thunder Immortal Elder, he was deliberately targeting the Xian people. He had to admit that Great Immortal Elder was still one of the leaders of the immortal world. No one could erase his contributions to the immortal world. Don't forget that the immortal world was supported by the Emperor clan. The Emperor clan's influence was shocking. Great Immortal Elder wasn't qualified to suppress them. Even at his peak, it was impossible. Great Immortal Elder, I don't accept your words. The young emperor's face was completely cold. He said coldly, "Who doesn't know my contributions? Don't 3 victories in the 3 realms battlefield count? Are my contributions to the immortal world not worth mentioning? Then what am I in Great Immortal Elder's eyes?" Impudent. A cold light flashed in Great Immortal Elder's eyes. He said in a low voice, "You are now a great success, Immortal King." His aura was obviously different. His eyes vaguely looked down on the entire immortal cave. Thunder rumbled in the hearts of all the disciples. You all participated in the great war of immortals and demons. You are heroes of the immortal world. The immortal cave gathers the most precious resources in the immortal world. Every year, the major clans will give you the best cultivation resources to maintain the best cultivation environment in the immortal cave. The immortal world has given you the best resources. Great Immortal Elder's words were cold. Don't think that just because you won the great war of immortals and demons, you are heroes of the immortal world. You have already received a shocking return for your contributions. These words were like thunder from the 9 heavens. They resounded in the ears of the heavenly Tao King and the others, causing great waves. Great Immortal Elder is wise. The heavenly Monkey King's blood boiled as he shouted, "This junior agrees with those words. The Immortal's Cave has the strongest resources, resources that even the sovereign races would envy, resources that everyone in the world would envy. However, there is no need to bring out past contributions now." Young Emperor's expression was extremely ugly. Wasn't this pointing at him and scolding him? The world knew that young Emperor and the others had made great contributions, but they didn't know how much resources they had taken from the immortal cave. But now, young Emperor was an immortal king. Did he have any contributions? Great Immortal Elder, your words are equivalent to erasing the glory of everyone in the immortal cave. Young Emperor retorted. This is a blow to their confidence. If they become strong in the future, but can't achieve great things, won't they become a laughingstock? Heavenly Tao King couldn't help but nod. Young Emperor was right. They were people who had made great contributions, now and in the future. This was something that couldn't be changed. Heavenly Tao King sneered. Why don't you go sleep on the merit book? Great Immortal Elder didn't say you didn't have any contributions. But young Emperor was already a great success, Immortal King. He hadn't even been to the Three Realms battlefield. What contributions could he have? Phoenix King. Great Immortal Elder's eyes landed on him. He praised. You created 10 great immortal world legions and killed 2 immortal kings in the dark world. You've done well. I haven't paid attention to worldly affairs all these years. Now, I announce that Phoenix King is an immortal elder of the Immortal Cave. You can enjoy the treatment of the 10 great immortal elders. Everyone was shocked. This announcement was too sudden. Phoenix King had become an immortal elder of the Immortal Cave. Great Immortal Elder. Phoenix King was shocked. His body trembled. Getting approval from the Immortal Cave and the Great Immortal Elder were 2 completely different things. No need to thank me. You deserve it. You'll be rewarded for your contributions. The Great Immortal Elder raised him up. Then, he looked at the Chaos Immortal Elders and said, Immortal Elders, you must understand that you were born in the immortal world and grew up in the immortal world. Since you're already immortal kings, you should protect the immortal world and your home. Phoenix King is your role model. Although you've lost your immortal king Dao fruit, I believe the Immortal Cave will give it to you again. Many thanks, Great Immortal. The Phoenix King shouted emotionally. These words were too clear. The Immortal Cave would spend resources to help Phoenix King return to his peak. We'll follow Great Immortal Elder's teachings. The Chaos Immortal Elders and the others stood out. They were already the pillars of the immortal world. If they didn't stand out to fight the dark world, the immortal world would cease to exist. Xiaodi's expression was extremely ugly. He was about to be criticized as a negative example. After all, he was a great success immortal king and had to go to the Three Realms battlefield. However, Phoenix King, a fake immortal king, had killed 2 great immortal kings, but he hadn't. He was truly embarrassed. Many people's eyes were fixed on him, all of them revealing disdain. This also indirectly showed how high the Great Immortal Elder's prestige was. You have to plan for your position. The Great Immortal Elder looked at Xiao Di and said calmly, Go to the Three Realms battlefield. If you kill a great success immortal king, you'll be given the status of an immortal elder of the Immortal Cave. Xian Weihuan's expression changed. There was no need to say it so clearly, right? How could Xiao Di show his face now? Ha ha ha! Xiao Di suddenly laughed. Great Immortal Elder, since you're so direct, I'm not a disciple of the Immortal Cave anymore. The Great Immortal Elder shook his head and sighed. They used to be master and disciple, but he was very disappointed in Xiao Di. Young people liked to show off, so he wouldn't say anything. What really angered the Great Immortal Elder was that Xiao Di, a great success immortal king, had taken away a huge amount of resources from the Immortal Cave. Moreover, he couldn't contribute to the immortal realm when he became a great success immortal king. The Great Immortal Elder could ignore the others, but Xiao Di came from the Immortal Cave after all. He couldn't even be compared to Phoenix King. It seemed that the Emperor clan thought that they could sit back and relax after tens of millions of years of peace. The Chaos Immortal Elder was dumbfounded. Was he really that confident? He had directly said that he refused to listen to the Great Immortal Elder's orders. He was indeed a member of the Emperor clan. Take care, Great Immortal Elder. Xiao Di suddenly raised his hand and said coldly, Su Yan humiliated the Xian people. He must be punished. The atmosphere of the entire scene suddenly became extremely oppressive. Was he going to use force? Xiao Di was going to challenge the Great Immortal Elder. How dare you, Xiao Di? The Chaos Immortal Elder was furious. He was worried that the Great Immortal Elder was unwell. He wanted to ask the second Immortal Elder to return. Xiao Di, if you don't like me, just say it. Su Yan roared, What do you mean by humiliating the Xian people? The great immortal elder has already explained Xian Chen's death to the Xian people. If you don't like me, suppress your saint realm and fight me. The immortal cave was in an uproar. Some people thought that Su Yan was crazy. Xiao Di was almost invincible in his younger days. Who gave Su Yan the courage to challenge him? Ignorant child. Xiao Di glared at Su Yan and roared, I don't need to use my real body to suppress you. A doppelganger is enough. Come, I, Su Yan, am not afraid of you. Su Yan roared and rose from the ground. Su Yan is a disciple of the immortal cave. You have no right to behave atrociously here. The great immortal elder waved his hand and charged at Xiao Di with lightning speed. He was not a clay Buddha. When he was angry, he finally let it out. Ha ha, great immortal elder, you're too protective of Su Yan. This is unfair to me. If that's the case. Xiao Di's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He roared, let me see what you're capable of, great immortal elder. I can't forget the river of time and space. Back then, you were unwilling to teach it to me. Now, I've cultivated the Xian people's Emperor horoscope divine ability. Xiao Di laughed. As a great success immortal king, his essence, qi, and spirit were completely different. He walked like a dragon, and the stars in the sky wailed. The entire imperial star was under his feet. Everyone in the world exclaimed. It was too shocking. The young emperor wanted to challenge the great immortal elder, and he immediately attacked. His silhouette charged towards the great immortal. In an instant, an incomparably terrifying aura bloomed, and the power was earth-shattering. That's Su Yan was shocked. He stared at the great immortal elder. He did not move, but behind his back, a huge figure suddenly appeared. It was as if he was living in the past and was slowly returning. The immortal kings were trembling. The great immortal elder had changed. He was like the ancestor of time and space. His figure was blurry and majestic. It was as if he was walking on the river of time and space, stepping on the peak of time and space. The scene was too terrifying. Everyone was shocked. They could not see or hear anything. Everything was about to return to chaos. The Emperor's aura, the Supreme Emperor's aura. Stop, Xiao Di, stop. Xian Weihuan screamed in horror. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Didn't they say that the great immortal elder had lost his Emperor's aura and was about to pass away? Why was he still able to unleash such earth-shattering power? River of time and space. The princess murmured. This was the Emperor of time and space's ultimate skill. Even after a long time, no one had learned it. Chapter 1970. It was Su Yan's first time witnessing an Emperor horoscope superpower. This kind of superpower was exclusive to emperors. In other words, only emperors could create an Emperor horoscope superpower. It was extremely difficult to learn an Emperor horoscope superpower. Otherwise, the great immortal elder's river of time and space would not have been cut off. After all, this superpower was related to time and age. It was extremely difficult to comprehend it. If one could master it, it would be an invincible superpower. On the other hand, if one was a member of the Emperor race and had the pure blood of the Emperor race flowing in his body, it would be easier for him to master the Emperor horoscope superpower. Heaven opening immortal sutra, the young emperor roared. His aura was extremely terrifying and turbulent. The killing weapon in his body was also activated. In a short period of time, he could be said to be extremely powerful. Moreover, the emperor blood in his body was burning and awakening. What's that? Everyone's voice trembled. The young emperor's aura was completely different. He had mastered an extremely strong foundation. The grand chanting of the sutra resounded through the heavens and earth. Moreover, an incomparable figure quietly appeared. Everyone trembled. It was as if the supreme immortal emperor had been reborn. He ruled over the 9 heavens and 10 earths and controlled the universe. An eternal emperor aura spread out. It rumbled and engulfed the minds of everyone, causing them to suffocate. After all, the young emperor was now a great success, immortal king. With the help of the emperor race's superpower, the current young emperor was ridiculously powerful. Immortal Emperor's Seal. The Heavenly Force King's face was solemn. This was the most powerful superpower of the Cien people. It could also be called an Emperor Horoscope superpower. The young emperor had mastered it when he was young. However, the young emperor now used the Immortal Emperor's Seal with the help of the Cien people's treasure. It was extremely terrifying. This is the Emperor Horoscope superpower. Su Yan's face was solemn. The terrifying emperor's shadow formed a supreme seal. It was as if the emperor heavenly force was showing, which could easily suppress one's soul. The power surged violently. The river of time and space seemed to have disintegrated. However, the young emperor was a great success, immortal king after all. The great immortal elder was a space-time emperor. He suddenly grew old and was about to pass away. However, how could this Emperor Aura be humiliated by a great success, immortal king? Boom! In an instant, the sky was covered in great spatial cracks. They were unimaginably deep, and they surged with the boundless radiance of time. Every single great crack seemed to extend back to the archaic era, connecting to this world. One after another, the scene became more and more terrifying. When they finally converged, they were filled with terrifying power, forming a heavenly river. It was truly the Milky Way of fate that ruled over all living beings. Who could contend against it? How is this possible? Young Emperor roared and pushed the Immortal Emperor's seal with all his might. However, the Grand Immortal's River of Time seemed to want to bury the Emperor and devour the River of Time, making him invincible for an entire era. Boom! The seal of the Immortal Emperor exploded. A terrifying aura surged out in all directions, as if the river of history was being disintegrated, surging out in all directions. Oh my God! Even the immortal kings trembled. They sensed a boundless divine might, as if it was engulfing the past, present, and future. It passed through the immortal cave, crushing towards the entire Emperor's city. What happened in the immortal cave? What a terrifying fluctuation! I can feel the aura of invincibility. In the Emperor's city, some of the giants' faces stiffened. They vaguely caught a wisp of familiar aura, which shocked them. Could it be that the space-time Emperor had recovered? The supreme heavenly river of time came crashing down. No matter how powerful the young Emperor's monarch horoscope divine ability was, it crumbled like a piece of paper. Even his body was trembling. He let out a painful cry that came from the depths of his soul. At this moment, young Emperor was trembling. He was as small as an ant facing the sea. He felt that he was going to grow old, die and die. This experience was too painful and too long. Xiaodi's howls of despair were completely different from the high and mighty. His posture was completely different. This was a fear that came from the depths of his heart, as if he was facing an invincible being. No! He roared. He was really going to die and fall. Why was this happening? Wasn't the grand immortal elder declining? Why did he feel as small as an ant? All his power was pale and powerless. It was as if he was facing the river of fate, the ruler of time. Could it be that he didn't lose the throne at all? Grand Immortal Elder, please have mercy, please have mercy. Xian Weihuan directly knelt on the ground and said in a trembling voice, Young Emperor is young and ignorant. Please let him live. He couldn't see where the Grand Immortal Elder was at all. It was as if he was living in the past and standing in the present. People vaguely saw that the Milky Way of time had turned into a huge guillotine, as if it was the strongest heavenly blade that could kill all living things. Boom! The supreme blade radiance emitted, and the light of time and space rained down. Heaven and earth were silent and time was frozen. Everything began to cease to exist. It was as if the power of the Tao had swept into young Emperor's body. He screamed in despair, I was wrong, Grand Immortal Elder, I was wrong, I was wrong. He was really desperate. He felt the killing intent. The Grand Immortal Elder was going to cripple him. Since I can't contribute to the immortal world, I will become the young emperor of the past and make great contributions to the immortal world. The Grand Immortal Elder wanted to cripple young emperor's cultivation so that he could turn into a saint realm and continue to stay in the immortal cave. After all, to the Grand Immortal Elder, it would be a great loss for the immortal world to kill young emperor. Cripple young emperor, the disciples of the immortal cave were trembling. This punishment was too frightening. Crippling young emperor's immortal King Tao fruit was worse than killing him. The heavenly Tao King and the others gasped. Their legs were not listening to them. At the same time, it was like a warning bell ringing in their ears. Some agreements could not be violated, and some rules could not be broken. The princess's expression did not change. Most people did not know the space-time emperor. At this moment, young emperor would not doubt the Grand Immortal Elder. Those who knew the Grand Immortal Elder's past knew that he was unparalleled in the world. Who would dare to blaspheme him? Without strong means, how could he control the Grand Immortal Elders and become one of the leaders of the immortal world? Moreover, young emperor, who was under his tutelage, dared to attack the Grand Immortal Elder. This was tantamount to betraying the master. The space-time emperor would not let it go so easily. No. Ancient ancestor, save me, young emperor wailed. An ancient token flew out of his body. The moment it exploded, a blurry yet majestic figure emerged, emitting a divine and holy energy light. Long time no see, space-time emperor. The figure that woke up from a deep sleep opened his eyes. His voice was like a bell, and the world seemed to be disintegrated. It was a man in a robe whiter than snow. He looked peerless. He did not look like a giant who looked down on the world at all. Instead, he looked like a heroic young man. The world trembled. Was the ancient ancestor of the Xian people the emperor of this generation of Xian people? However, this was obviously not. He was very young, and his hair was as white as snow. His eyebrows were sword-like, causing many women to scream. This handsome young man was the ancient ancestor of the Xian people, and he could talk to the space-time emperor. Emperor! Too many women screamed, and they were incomparably fanatical. An extremely young emperor felt that being able to follow him was the best choice for them. Ancient ancestor Xian Weihuan was crazy with excitement, and his eyes were filled with worship. This was the most ancient existence of the Xian people. He did not expect the young emperor to value him so much that he would give him a token. Third ancestor, the Grand Immortal Elder, was a little surprised. He did not expect him to come. Xian Weihuan was a little confused. Third ancestor? Speaking of which, Xian Weihuan did not know what the ancient ancestor's title was at all. He did not expect the Grand Immortal Elder to call him Third Ancestor. What kind of title was that? What was so special about it? One had to know that the Spacetime Emperor was also an emperor in the ancient era. He was also a Grand Immortal Elder of the Immortal Elder Academy. His status was too high, and he did not belong to the Xian people. But why was he called Third Ancestor? Could it be that his title was Third Ancestor? Su Yan's breathing was heavy, and he did his best to suppress his emotions. The situation had completely changed. The giant of the Xian people had arrived, and he was definitely a giant with the title of emperor. The current Su Yan was as insignificant as a speck of dust in front of such an existence. At this moment, Su Yan was wondering who was stronger, the Sword Ancestor or the Third Ancestor. Back then, when he joined forces with the Dark World to destroy the human world, was the Third Ancestor involved? The atmosphere in the Immortal Cave and the entire Grand Imperial Planet was extremely silent. The chests of the various Immortal Elders heaved violently. The entire world was filled with Emperor Aura, a supreme aura surging violently. At this moment, they felt that the 10 great immortal elders could talk to titled monarchs on equal terms. It was just a joke. Giants were giants, looking down on the world. Even if they had great authority, they could not be compared to these people. The Chaos Immortal Elder's back was covered in cold sweat. How could this matter be resolved? When it came to this level of conflict, he could not figure out what the Grand Immortal Elder was thinking. What happened to make the Space-Time Emperor go to war? The man in snow-white robes stood tall between the heavens and the earth as space-time light rain poured down from his body. Although it was just a clone, it was still peerless and invincible. What surprised him the most was that the protective token he had given Xiao Di was being used here. Third ancestor, my clan's Xian Chen was killed. I just want an explanation, young Emperor quibbled. Bastard! The Grand Immortal Elder was furious. His old body involuntarily released a shocking heavenly might, causing all living beings to tremble. Even the third ancestor's clone was faintly blurred and dimmed. The next moment, the third ancestor's body shone with divine light, illuminating the universe. He shouted coldly, "Grand Immortal Elder has always been impartial. I don't need to ask to know that you made a mistake. Kneel and apologize." Young Emperor was shocked. He did not expect the Grand Immortal Elder to not stop. This was beyond his expectations. The Empress knew very well that the Immortal Cave's foundation was unparalleled. Although the Space-Time Emperor was not at his peak, as long as he was the Grand Immortal Elder, he was not someone the Xian people could touch. There's no need for formalities. I can't accept it. The Grand Immortal Elder shook his head. Space-Time Emperor, young people nowadays are hot-blooded. Mistakes have already been made. I am also at fault for not teaching him well. Can you spare his life if I bring him to apologize to you? The third ancestor said softly. This filled Xian Weihuan's heart with bitterness. The third ancestor was personally pleading for mercy, showing the Grand Immortal Elder's power. No! The Grand Immortal Elder's words were simple and direct. The entire Immortal Cave surged with muffled thunder, echoing in the depths of everyone's souls. The Immortal King's entire body went cold. The Grand Immortal Elder was not prepared to back down at all, directly cutting off all ties. This one word was enough to express the Grand Immortal Elder's attitude. The Phoenix King was moved. This was the supreme bearing of the Grand Immortal Elder. The Xian people's ancient ancestor was enough to make the Grand Immortal Elder back down? If this spread out, where would the Immortal Elder's dignity be? Reality also proved that the Immortal Elder was not a puppet of the Emperor clans. There was a Grand Immortal Elder in charge. Chapter 1971. No. The third ancestor frowned slightly. His slight emotional fluctuation caused the entire universe to tremble. His robe was whiter than snow, and he looked extremely handsome. His hair was as white as snow, and his aura was extraordinary. Even the top geniuses of the younger generation felt inferior. The ancient ancestors of the immortals towered between the heavens and earth, giving off a faint feeling that they were standing at the end of time and space. It was impossible to see them clearly. In fact, the more powerful those who cultivated, the more they could experience just how invincible the Immortals' three ancestors were. No, the Grand Immortal Elder replied again. This was the Heaven's Cave, and it was not up to the monarch races to decide. The Chaos Immortal Elder and the others were excited. The Grand Immortal Elder's strength made them straighten their backs in front of the monarch races. The Heaven's Cave was about to usher in a new era. Plop! In an instant, the arrogant young emperor finally knelt on the ground. Many people trembled. Young Emperor knelt on the ground, admitting defeat. He was the young emperor of the monarch race, the number one of the younger generation, and now a great success immortal king. His kneeling was equivalent to the Xian people bowing their heads. Young Emperor said in a trembling voice, Grand Immortal Elder, it's not easy for me to cultivate to this point. Once I sever my Immortal King Dao fruit, There's almost no hope for me to reach the immortal King Dao fruit in the future. Young Emperor panicked. If he did not beg for mercy, he would die. The third ancestor was just a clone. Besides, even if the third ancestor really came, the Xian people could not attack the Heaven's Cave. Otherwise, the immortal realm would be in complete chaos, and the Xian people would not be able to bear the blame. Young Emperor kowtowed and said again, "For the sake of our master and disciple relationship, I hope the Grand Immortal Elder will show mercy." The Celestial Force King sneered. "Now you call yourself a junior? The third ancestor and the Grand Immortal Elder are equals. You're just a great success Immortal King, not an emperor. What right do you have to show off in front of the Grand Immortal Elder?" Besides, young Emperor was under the Grand Immortal Elder's tutelage. Besides, even if you're a young emperor, it's against ethics to be so rude to the Grand Immortal Elder who taught you. You still know about the relationship between master and disciple? The Grand Immortal Elder's gray hair fell, and said coldly, "I taught you this? How dare you attack me? Do you really think that you are invincible? Do you really think that the rules of the Cave of the Immortals are just for show? Do you really think that the Emperor clans are the masters of the immortal world?" "Puff!" Xiao Di screamed in agony. His body trembled under the pressure of the great Immortal Elder's words. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Heaven and earth were in turmoil. The arrival of the third patriarch was of no help. "You bastard, you dare to attack the great immortal?" The three ancestors were shocked and furious. This really was unexpected. No wonder the great Immortal Elder was so angry. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to sit still. The dignity of an emperor could not be blasphemed. Otherwise, the historical tragedy would not have happened. The supreme emperor of the celestial court suppressed the Xian people and the Samsara royal family to the point of disintegration. "Ancient ancestor, I was wrong, I was wrong." Xiao Di begged for mercy in horror. The third forefather was already enraged, but Xiao Di couldn't fathom how an old and frail great immortal could still be so powerful. "Ah!" The next moment, Xiao Di screamed in agony. The third patriarch crippled Xiao Di's arms with a flick of his finger. This stunned everyone in the world. A great success Immortal King had to pay a great price to recover from his crippled arms. "Do you know your crime?" The third patriarch said coldly. To appease the great Immortal Elder, they had to punish Xiao Di severely. "I know my crime. Please have mercy on me, great Immortal Elder. I am willing to accept any punishment without complaint, but please don't cut off my cultivation." Xiao Di lowered his proud head, without a trace of dignity. This scene was too shocking for the disciples of the Immortal Cave. The Xian people's Xiao Di was completely defeated. "The Spacetime Emperor is my peer. Disrespecting him is disrespecting me. Seeing that your cultivation has not been easy, you will go to the Three Realms battlefield now and not return for 100,000 years." What? The world was in an uproar. 100,000 years, that was 100,000 years. A great success Immortal King had to stay in the Three Realms battlefield for 10,000 years, but 100,000 years was too long. After all, there were frequent battles in the Dark World. After all, it was a battle between big shots, and the chances of a great success Immortal King dying were high. The Monkey King had fought hard in the Three Realms battlefield for 10,000 years. He was ambushed by a powerful enemy, and in the end, his body became weak due to old age. Xiao Di roared in pain. His arms exploded, and the pain was unbearable. He was about to faint. "Spacetime Emperor, is this okay?" The third patriarch looked at the great Immortal Elder and said, "Let him redeem himself and fight in the Three Realms battlefield. Now is the time to use people. If the great Immortal Elder is dissatisfied with his performance after 100,000 years, I will not say a word about his life or death. He will be at the mercy of the great Immortal Elder." 100,000 years was nothing to the third patriarch and the great Immortal Elder. But for Xiao Di, the sudden increase in combat power came with a high mortality rate. Forget it. The great immortal elder was silent for a moment, then nodded. 100,000 years. Xiao Di's eyes were filled with madness. He came with great fanfare, wanting to stay in the immortal elder's institution, but was belittled. Now, the Xian people's third patriarch was here, and he still had to bear a great crime. How could he be willing to accept this? Suddenly, the third patriarch raised his hand and pressed it down on the top of the sky. A low and terrifying sound exploded, disturbing people's primordial spirits and causing them to fall. Boom! The third patriarch's palm suddenly became boundlessly terrifying. It filled the air with the aura of the beginning of the world, revealing a supreme majesty. "Open the Three Realms battlefield," the third patriarch whispered. His hand broke open the universe, and his peerless aura filled the sky. In an instant, countless people trembled, unable to withstand the power of the third ancestor's palm. Even if they were protected by the Order of the Imperial Star, even if they were standing in the core area of the Fey Grotto, at this moment, they trembled and almost fell to the ground. The heroes were scared. This was too terrifying. A single slap had opened the path to the Three Realms battlefield. Everyone knew that the Three Realms battlefield was very far from the celestial realm. Even celestial kings needed a long time to travel. The third patriarch raised his hand and opened a universe black hole. His hand seemed to have pierced through the river of time and charged toward the Three Realms battlefield. It had to be said that the third patriarch was showing his battle prowess. He was not punishing the young emperor out of fear of the great immortal elder. This matter had to be explained to the world. As the third patriarch of the Xian people, the young emperor had been disrespectful to the great immortal elder, so he had to enforce the law impartially. Now, this move was a form of intimidation. An unimaginable universe black hole appeared. It was vast and boundless. People felt that the imperial star had been buried. The Three Realms battlefield, the deity's cave, was in an uproar. Many cultivators with powerful primordial spirits saw a corner of the scene. They could not see the end of it, nor could they see anything substantial. It was vast and majestic. They could feel their own insignificance. Even the taboo experts were no exception. However, in this land of endless death and darkness, there was nothing that could be done. Vaguely, the figures of terrifying existences appeared. There was a corner of a majestic war god, and 1,000,000 feet tall giant beast roaring. One figure after another appeared. They were powerful beyond compare, like a group of invincible war gods. "It's the war gods of our world," someone said with a trembling voice. These were the protectors of the celestial world. They stayed in the Three Realms battlefield all year round to prevent the Dark World's experts from suddenly attacking the celestial world. However, in this land of death and destruction, the war gods of the celestial world seemed insignificant. The main reason was that the third ancestor's palm was too frightening. It set off the grandeur of the Three Realms battlefield and gave people a visual impact. The Phoenix King sighed. This was a place of sadness, a place of failure, and a place where he had almost died. The Three Realms battlefield was the true battlefield. Even immortal kings would face the threat of death. There were also emperors who had fallen. The disciples of the deity's cave had limited understanding of the Three Realms battlefield. Legend had it that the Three Realms battlefield was in the center of the Three Realms. It contained great dangers and disasters, but it was also fated. Heavens, some immortal kings of the deity's cave roared. They could vaguely see that in the scene reflected by the third ancestor's palm, a group of terrifying war gods were shaking as if they were about to fall and die. "What's that?" Su Yan's heart trembled. An indescribable aura surged in the grand Three Realms battlefield. There was also a boundless cage of darkness. It covered the world and even affected the deity's cave, causing the Emperor's star to shake faintly. Baokai felt a chill all over his body. These giants were really frightening. he saw a sky full of dark matter. Billowing demonic fog was howling, sweeping through the Three Realms battlefield, and was about to attack the deity's cave. Who was making a move? Was it an invincible expert from the Dark World? It was obvious that an invincible giant from the Dark World had erupted after detecting the aura of the third ancestor. It affected the ancient battlefield, causing many war gods to cry out in alarm. The emperors overseeing the Three Realms battlefield immediately came out of seclusion. Immortal kings would die. At this moment, Su Yan understood. With invincible giants on the battlefield, immortal kings were nothing. The Three Realms battlefield rumbled. An unparalleled aura was vast and mighty. Demonic sounds that shook time and space spread out. It was as if the demon ancestor was roaring, shocking everyone. And in the grand darkness, a group of terrifying and invincible war gods from the Dark World vaguely appeared. They seemed to have crawled out from the Nine Hells. Does the celestial world want to launch an invincible expedition? Do you have the qualifications now? An invincible expert from the Dark World spoke. His words were filled with coldness and cruelty. This was a kind of disdain. The great war of immortals and demons is about to begin. Is the celestial world ready? Our world has made a list of names. Imperial Daughter, Immortal Monarch, Heavenly Eye Vision King, Heavenly Force King, Heavenly Dragon Lady, Heavenly Sovereign King. Are they willing to fight on the stage? Our world's children can't wait any longer. We want to take their heads and reshuffle the cards for your immortal cave, giving your new generation the motivation to grow. What does the celestial world think? An icy cold and cruel voice reverberated throughout the battlefield of the Three Realms, and it alarmed countless old experts, causing them to roar in succession. The battle between the peak experts of the younger generation was related to the honor of the immortal dimension. The dark dimension had come menacingly, and they had to win. The boundless darkness was like bolts of lightning erupting one after another. The momentum was vast. Demonic sounds surged, penetrating the Three Realms battlefield. Suddenly, it became even more terrifying and intense. In an instant, it swept to the immortal cave, resounding in the ears of countless creatures. It was like large bells ringing in their ears, making their primordial spirits feel like they were about to fall. Countless people roared. They were too arrogant. The Dark World was too savage this time. Did they want to massacre all of them? Imperial Daughter and the others had all come out of seclusion. This great war between immortals and demons could definitely be called a glorious battle. It included the top experts of the celestial world. What was there to fear? Great Immortal Elder frowned. What was the Dark World's trump card? Too arrogant. Heavenly Force King and the others were furious. They had witnessed the Dark World's strongest Ingjia for a long time. They wanted to use this great war between immortals and demons to massacre all of them. This was too arrogant. Su Yan, what's wrong? Bamboo Moon's expression changed slightly. She discovered that Su Yan's body was trembling slightly. He was doing everything he could to control himself, and he was using a series of trump cards to suppress the changes in his body. In Su Yan's body, the mysterious jar given to him by Dao Shi was rumbling. The ultimate trump card was somewhat out of control. It seemed like it was going to fly out, enter the Three Realms battlefield, and release the ultimate trump card. What was going on? The ancient jar shone brightly. There was a very powerful seal on it. If not for Su Yan using the seal to suppress it, the jar really would have flown out. Lil Pagoda, Su Yan was shocked. Lil Pagoda, whose soul was deeply silent, also revealed an ancient will. It was like an ancient dragon that had slumbered for millions of years was awakening. Lil Pagoda really did have a will. It was very ancient and weathered. It directly penetrated the mysterious jar and triggered the ultimate trump card. This jar was very strange. It emitted an extremely strange fluctuation. This fluctuation was so strong that even the three ancestors could not sense it. Strands of it began to leak out, and finally penetrated the Three Realms battlefield. What is that? Su Yan was in disbelief. He faintly saw through something. Suddenly, he saw a vast ancient land that suppressed Su Yan's soul. Somewhere in the Three Realms battlefield, an illusory and unreal figure appeared, looking down on the celestial world. It looked very small, but when one looked at it, it instantly became boundlessly vast. This was a supreme expert looking down on the Three Realms. Chapter 1972. The Space-Time Emperor frowned slightly and looked around suspiciously. He could vaguely sense a strand of power, but he couldn't find the source. This made him very suspicious. After all, he was the Space-Time Emperor, and his control of time and space was at the peak. The three ancestors couldn't sense it, but he was different. Three-realm battlefield. The Space-Time Emperor muttered. His deep eyes looked at the source, but he couldn't find any clues. Instead, the dark tide that roared in the three-realm battlefield suddenly disappeared without a trace, as if it had never been there. They retreated. The three-realm battlefield was in a state of emergency. Everyone thought that a great battle was going to happen, but who knew that the Dark World's big shots had retreated? There were only a few months left until the start of the Immortal Demon War. The Dark World was probably preparing for it. Su Yan's mind was a bit absent-minded. He felt that what he had just experienced was an illusion. It was too unreal. He looked at the three-realm battlefield and saw a mysterious ancient land. Dao Celestial Emperor. At this time, Su Yan's sea of consciousness roared violently. Small Pagoda's ancient will returned and left behind 3 words for Su Yan. It was like thunder in Su Yan's heart. Benefactor, it was his benefactor. The Celestial Emperor who had protected his life, the invincible big shot of the immortal world, and the terrifying existence of the Dark World. The bloody history of the immortal world from tens of millions of years ago was directly related to him. In the end, the ancient celestial emperors had disappeared. Could it be that the figure he saw just now was Dao Celestial Emperor? Where is he? Where is he? Su Yan's primordial spirit roared and asked Small Pagoda. This matter was too important. Small Pagoda's ancient will fell asleep again. Its reconstruction had reached the most critical moment, and it couldn't easily come out. If not for the mysterious jar's roar, it wouldn't have awakened Small Pagoda from its deep slumber. If he's still here, if I can find him, Su Yan's emotions surged. The ancient celestial emperors of the celestial court. Could he be in the three-realm battlefield? Could this jar be the ultimate trump card left behind by Dao Celestial Emperor? Dao Book instrument to protect him. Three realms battlefield. Su Yan thought to himself. His heart was surging with emotions. Once he reached his destination, he would definitely obtain an answer. Perhaps it would change the current situation of the human world. However, Su Yan gradually calmed down. Was this hope really reliable? The Celestial Court's army of 1 trillion left behind the tragic state of the Celestial Court. If the ancient celestial emperors were in the 3 realms, how could they remain unmoved? Su Yan sighed in his heart. Whether it was true or not, he had to go and take a look. But now, it was enough to confirm that the item sealed in the mysterious jar was left behind by the Dao Celestial Emperor. Go! At that moment, the third patriarch waved his hand and sent the young emperor into the space-time rift, sending him to the 3 realms battlefield. It was better for him to send it than for the great immortal elder to send it. Ancient ancestor, before Shao Di left, he let out an indignant growl. The Tianwu king lost so unjustly. We should fight again. Of course, he wanted to shout that the Xian people were not to be humiliated, but he did not dare to say it out loud, fearing that the great immortal elder would go back on his word. After all, the Tianwu king was different. When the young emperor left the Xian people's cave, the Xian people had high hopes for the immortal lord. They hoped that he could become a leader on par with the young emperor and maintain the influence of the Xian people in the cave. Although the Immortal Lord's achievements were not as glorious as the young emperor's, he was still one of the top leaders. The current Tianwu King was the future Immortal Lord. Back then, he had been severely injured by the heavenly dragon maiden. Su Yan had even beheaded the Tianwu King. If news of this spread, the Xian people's dignity would be greatly damaged. If the Tianwu King could not defeat Su Yan, this would be a shadow on his path to becoming a powerful person. So, he had to fight to avenge his humiliation. Who was the Tianwu King? The third patriarch did not know, nor was he interested in knowing. He had not been involved in worldly affairs for many years. Great Immortal Elder. The third patriarch retracted his hand and smoothed out the space-time black hole. He said calmly, "I won't interfere in the affairs of the younger generation." The third patriarch's figure gradually turned blurry, and soon disappeared completely. The immortal cave was silent. The scene just now was unforgettable. Too many things had happened today, from the young emperor to the great immortal elder to the Xian people's ancient patriarch. They had spied on a corner of the Three Realms battlefield. The Tianwu King sat cross-legged on the ground to recover. After all, he had swallowed the Immortal King regeneration pill. This pill was very valuable. It was made with the blood of an immortal king, and had the effect of reviving the dead. Now, the Tianwu King's injuries had fully recovered. His entire body was flowing with terrifying vitality, accompanied by a terrifying martial will that swept across the land. His bone-chilling eyes stared at Su Yan. The murderous intent in his eyes was undisguised. The young emperor had been defeated, and the third patriarch had backed down. This was a great humiliation for the Xian people. If they could not defeat Su Yan, the Xian people would lose too badly this time. Su Yan! The Tianwu King roared. He was, after all, the leader of the Xian people's new generation. He had terrifying belief. The reason he had been defeated was because he had mistakenly entered the celestial demonic chessboard and was injured by the killing fields of the four great experts. Of course, the Tianwu King did not think that Su Yan had the strength to compete with the Tianwu King. Even if he could, the Tianwu King had the belief that he was invincible in his generation. "I'll fulfill the young emperor's wish." Su Yan's reply caused a huge commotion in the Immortal Cave. The younger generation's disciples were excited. The two participants of the Great Immortal War were going to fight. This was a great battle that would shake the entire immortal world. The human world's equal Sage King and the Xian people's Tianwu King were going to fight tomorrow. The Tianwu King is requesting the Great Immortal to open the Imperial City's arena. He wants to fight with Su Yan. Half a day later, the Imperial City was in an uproar. Everyone knew that Su Yan had broken through the 5 most difficult challenges of the Immortal Cave. He was now a top figure in the Immortal Cave. The Xian people's Tianwu King was also a top figure in his generation. Both were participants of the Great Immortal War. This was no ordinary battle. Some people even said that watching this battle was equivalent to watching the battle between the strongest in the Great Immortal War. The Imperial City was the #1 city in the immortal world. Once the news spread, it quickly affected hundreds of ancient worlds and the vast territories. It shocked all the powerful races in the immortal world. The young emperor being sent to the battlefield was a great humiliation for the Xian people. However, there were very few inside stories about this matter. Big news! The Imperial City's arena has opened. The Tianwu King wants to kill Su Yan. 10 Square World was shaken. The news spread like wildfire. There were many versions. Some called it a battle of life and death. Some said that the Xian people wanted to kill Su Yan from the human world. The heavens' equal Sage King, the ruler of the First Mountain, the final participant of the Great Immortal War. How strong is he? The Tianwu King is the new leader of the Xian people. He has accumulated a lot. Is the ruler of the human world qualified to compete with the Tianwu King? In just one day, the entire Imperial City was shaken. After all, the Great Immortal War was about to begin. At that time, many powerful races would go to the Three Realms battlefield to watch the battle. At this moment, the Tianwu King and Su Yan were competing in the imperial city. Naturally, many great sects were paying attention to this. Let's go. It'll be too late if we're late. Let's go. The battle will begin tomorrow morning. The Tianwu King and the Heaven's Equal Sage King are both top talent. We'll see who's stronger soon. The teleportation formation in the imperial city was activated frequently. Many young people rushed to the imperial city, giving the older generation a headache. These young people were crazy. They had to spend a lot of immortal sources to activate the teleportation formation just to watch the battle. Brother Su Yan, I'm here. The barbarian god heard the news and immediately came to cheer for him. He had lost his spot in the Great Immortal War. He wanted to ask if the Tianwu King could be given to him. He was eager to join the battle. Rumble! In the majestic imperial city, an arena had already appeared in the sky. The bronze arena was more than 1,000,000 feet tall. It was the strongest arena in the imperial city. It could withstand the battle of unrivaled experts of the same generation. The Tianwu King is here. The Tianwu King was from the Xian people, the shocking successor of the immortal martial emperor. The Xian people had the immortal Devil Domain Suppression Sutra, the Heaven Opening Sutra, and the immortal Martial Sutra. He was the successor of the immortal Martial Sutra. He had long been recognized as a top talent. His martial path was divine, and he looked down on everyone. He had won the Great Immortal War before and had never been defeated. This person stepped onto the arena. He was filled with unparalleled martial heavenly might, causing a commotion. Su Yan stepped onto the arena, causing heated discussions everywhere. He dominated the first mountain, consecutively breaking through the 5 most powerful trials. His body was comparable to that of a princess, and he was also a peerless talent. In truth, the older generation experts were all looking forward to this kind of battle. The imperial city was in an uproar. Finally, a group of heavyweight experts descended, suppressing the storm. The imperial city seemed very quiet. Many people couldn't help but feel scared. A group of immortal kings came. An Immortal Elder Academy also sent over a dozen immortal elders. It was enough to see how important this battle was to them. Within the imperial city, the great figures stood at the peak of the sky, scattering down boundless divine might that reverberated through time and space. The cultivators all over the world were silent, not daring to speak or shout. They all watched with wide eyes. "Stop here," the Chaos Immortal Elder said. "This was not a life and death battle." "What a pity!" Tianwu King's expression was cold. Su Yan had killed him once, and he also wanted to kill Su Yan. However, the young emperor's miserable state was still vivid in his mind, and the immortal elders' will could not be disobeyed. "It is quite a pity," Su Yan replied. "I am surprised that you were able to survive. You even dare to use my clan's furnace of suppression. Su Yan, do you really not want to die?" Tianwu King pressed towards Su Yan, his majestic appearance intimidating, containing the power of immortal martial, suppressing the world until it darkened. "This treasure is not bad, but its power is a bit lacking." Su Yan also walked forward. His steps were light and his eyes were deep. He commented, "If only it was a great success, Immortal King weapon." "Ha ha, ha." Tianwu King faced the sky and laughed, his entire body emitting a biting cold killing intent. On this arena, he seemed completely different, like a supreme immortal king. He said to the Chaos Immortal Elder, "The furnace of suppression belongs to us Xian people. If Su Yan is defeated, return it." Honglong. In an instant Tianwu King became extremely powerful. The sky darkened, and a terrifying aura erupted, paralyzing his peers on the ground, causing the world to tremble. "Tianwu King will definitely win. Beat him up." Many girls who had a good impression of Tianwu King screamed. They didn't think that an invincible overlord from the lower realm could be an equal to Tianwu King. Chapter 1973. If you lose, Su Yan stood between heaven and earth, unaffected by King Tianwu's aura. He said coldly, "Hand over the celestial martial seal." Xian Weihuan's expression turned ugly. This kid is really not afraid of death, daring to covet the Xian people's treasure. Ninth Immortal Elder, what do you think? The Chaos Immortal Elder smiled. It seemed like King Tianwu couldn't be satisfied unless it was a life-and-death battle. Xian Weihuan glanced at the Chaos Immortal Elder and said coldly, "If he loses, return the furnace of suppression. If King Tianwu loses, give Su Yan the same amount of celestial origin." The Chaos Immortal Elder was shocked. This bet was too big. Celestial King weapons were priceless. Xian people wouldn't gamble with Celestial King weapons. If I lose, what face do I have left in the Immortal Cave? Monarch Tianwu's killing intent soared as he roared, "Su Yan, since we can't bet our lives, if I lose, I'll give you the 11.3 million points I've accumulated. If you lose, I'll add another 5 million points to the Furnace of Suppression." After all, the Phoenix King had erased the imprint on the Furnace of Suppression. Hence, the value of the Furnace of Suppression was greatly reduced. His words were like thunder. The disciples of the Immortal Cave exclaimed, "This was too awesome, betting 10 million points. Such a huge bet is really a great thing in life. Why not?" Su Yan laughed loudly, causing a commotion in the city. 10 million points were accumulated by King Tianwu over a long period of time. He actually took it out to bet. Even Xian Weihuan was speechless. King Tianwu was really crazy. It seemed like having his head chopped off by Su Yan was the biggest humiliation in his life. Xian Weihuan felt a headache. If he lost, King Tianwu's reputation would fall, but it would be a huge blow to the Xian people. Su Yan is going to be rich. King Tianwu's eyes turned red. 10 million points could be exchanged for a complete Celestial King weapon. Adding Su Yan's accumulation, he might be able to accumulate 20 million points after passing the remaining 2 heaven stages. Heavenly King, don't underestimate the Xian people. Celestial Dragon Maiden slightly frowned and said, "Even though you hate the Xian people, don't forget the prosperity of the Xian people. Monarch Tianwu is the descendant of the immortal martial emperor. His martial Tao is unparalleled. Don't underestimate him." King Tianwu admitted that King Tianwu was not weak, but he believed more in Su Yan's strength and prosperity. "Su Yan, let's fight." The Tianwu King rose from the ground, and with a hong-long sound, he immediately rushed forward. In this short period of time, his entire body flourished with divine light, and the immortal martial scripture blossomed. His entire being seemed to be situated in a golden sea, and his martial Tao aura pierced through the 9 heavens. He was like a martial emperor of a generation that had descended to the world, and the sound of chanting was like an ocean that erupted along with the chanting. He had the bearing of Mount Tai as he stood on the primeval earth, and his thick and enormous golden feet could simply be said to have covered the entire combat arena. Oh my God, the saints were shocked. This was a power that was terrifying enough to make them collapse onto the ground. It was quite inconceivable, and it covered Su Yan endlessly. It was as if he was an ant that was directly crushed into pieces. Immortal martial heaven trampling foot. King Tianwu let out a long roar, and his majestic figure stepped on the heavens. He was like a martial emperor of a generation stepping on the blue dome of heaven, and he contained a domineering aura that said, "Who else can surpass me?" The older generation were all moved, and they directly unleashed their peak technique. Legend had it that the immortal martial emperor had once created the immortal martial 36 styles, and each move was at the peak of perfection. The immortal martial heaven trampling foot was one of them. He used this move to suppress Su Yan, and it was clear to see the enmity between the two of them. Su Yan's body emitted boundless divine light, and it was as if he had turned into an immortal saint spirit. In an instant, he was boundlessly vast, and his shadow seemed to fill the entire battlefield. Dong, dong, dong. He stepped forward, and his might was boundless. Profound mysteries filled the sky, and the great treasures of the human body were released. It was as if an invincible supreme being was stepping forward. When the immortal martial heaven trampling foot pressed down, Su Yan was completely different. His roar shook the starry sky, and his battle blood surged. His courage was peerless, and 100,000 golden tsunamis rushed out of his pores, tearing apart the universe, and smashing the enormous golden feet alive. This chi and blood, the heroes were shocked. It was too inconceivable. As expected of a physical body that was on par with the princess, it was ridiculously powerful and terrifying. His breathing was like an azure dragon of the universe, and it gave people a mental pressure. Su Yan dominated the heaven and earth, and it was as if he had turned into an unparalleled war immortal, looking down on the world. In an instant, he stretched out his hand and pressed down on King Tianwu, who was like a martial emperor descending to the mortal world. Roar! King Tianwu roared angrily. His body of flesh and blood shone brightly, and his pores emitted divine light. As the golden words danced in the sky, a scripture world was formed in an instant, and it revealed a vast immortal martial power. Immortal martial 36 styles. One had to admit that King Tianwu was extremely powerful, and he suppressed Su Yan's palm force. His entire body was covered in divine light, and scripture words filled the sky, outlining one after another lifelike war god after another. If one observed carefully, there were a total of 36 of them: immortal martial earth-shaking fist, immortal martial sky-dominating palm, immortal martial sky-splitting hand, immortal martial earth-overturning seal. A deafening roar resounded on the grand arena. It was as if a celestial martial emperor had awoken from his slumber in the ancient world. He roared out the 36 forms of the celestial martial arts, causing the aura of the arena to become violent. This is the flawless immortal martial 36 styles. King Tianwu has received the true teachings of the martial immortal, and is equivalent to the successor of an emperor. Everyone in the world exclaimed, and some of the old antiques in the imperial city nodded. No wonder the Xian people regarded King Tianwu as the strongest war god. He had a strong foundation, and he had comprehended the essence of the immortal martial 36 styles. Kill! The scene on the arena changed drastically. The 36 ultimate arts formed by the immortal martial scripture filled the sky, and they slashed down. "I can't see clearly," someone said in a trembling voice. He couldn't see anything clearly, and his eyes were stinging, and tears were about to flow out. One after another, ferocious and invincible war gods came down from the lower realm and pounced on Su Yan. Their killing intent surged, and it was enough to shatter one's soul. "Look!" someone exclaimed. The scene was a little shocking. In this world filled with the aura of immortal martial arts, a figure soared up. It was as blazing as an endless sun, and it was as if a supreme god overlooking the world had crossed time and space to arrive. The heaven and earth trembled, and the sun and moon lost their light. It was as if an unparalleled demon king had reached the pinnacle of heaven and earth. The terrifying figure's every move resonated with the heaven and earth, and it contained the principles of the great Tao. It contained supreme killing techniques, and it was about to kill the true dragons that filled the sky. The third level of the peerless dragon wrestling technique. In the Immortal Elder Academy, the various immortal elders were shocked. How long had it been since Su Yan stepped into the Immortal Elder Academy? He had actually comprehended the complete peerless dragon wrestling technique, and this was the third level. The great treasure of the human body bloomed, and it transformed into a monstrous killing intent. "Kill!" Su Yan roared. So what if the young martial immortals in the sky came down to kill him? He was filled with great power, and he was filled with the aura of a martial grandmaster. Terrifying energy radiance filled the sky, and Su Yan's awakened figure erupted, charging towards the immortal martial 36 styles. Rumble! The arena trembled, and the 36 immortal martial war immortals actually couldn't control themselves and were sent flying. What kind of power was this? Boundless power, containing the profound mysteries of the peerless dragon wrestling technique. The instant it was fully unleashed, it could sweep through 10,000 enemies, and the immortal martial 36 styles was about to be destroyed. Suppress! The Tianwu King roared. The unparalleled power rushed over, but it didn't crush the Tianwu King's unrivaled confidence. He seemed to have gone mad, and his flesh blazed with boundless brilliance. The chanting of the immortal martial scripture became even louder, bestowing the immortal martial 36 styles with unparalleled profoundness, temporarily suppressing Su Yan's terrifying strength. Suppress! The Tianwu King roared. His eyes were wide open, and his unparalleled strength was unleashed. He wanted to sweep through this great enemy and wipe away his previous humiliation. Boom! Su Yan stepped on the sky, and his clothes fluttered in the wind. At this moment, he was majestic and imposing, and his moves were grand and powerful. An even more ferocious battle prowess was awakened, and the universe scripture was activated. Suddenly, Su Yan changed, as if he had turned into the sea of the universe, grasping the great yin and great yang, grasping the unparalleled profoundness. He suddenly became a lot more terrifying. The barbarian god roared. This was the unparalleled profoundness that Su Yan comprehended in the ultimate refinement ground. Sure enough, once it was unleashed, even gods would be killed. His tyrannical battle prowess was suffocating, and the heavens and earth were about to explode. A terrifying aura pressed down on the Tianwu King. Not good. Xian Weihuan's expression changed. He discovered that the Tianwu King's mouth and nose were bleeding, and his body was about to collapse. He felt as if he was about to be crushed alive by Su Yan. He roared, and his hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were bloodshot. What is that? Everyone's heart trembled. The Tianwu King seemed to have gone mad, and the 36 lifelike martial emperors retracted their palms and fists one after another. All of them entered his body. A terrifying aura that caused the void to tremble was born, and the stars in the universe were all trembling. What kind of power was this? It could be said that a peak-level emperor was roaring, destroying the heavens and earth. It was as if a slumbering martial emperor was awakening, emitting a world-shaking power. Immortal martial 36 forms, immortal martial true body. Xian Weihuan was overjoyed. The Tianwu King had actually cultivated the immortal martial emperor's ultimate technique, which was equivalent to a martial emperor's divine ability protecting his body. It was filled with an indestructible and invulnerable aura that surged violently. Invincible, the Tianwu King is invincible. A group of cultivators who admired the Tianwu King shouted fanatically. This was the Tianwu King's hidden trump card, and he was prepared to display it in this great battle between the immortals and demons. However, he didn't expect that Su Yan would force him to use it. The Tianwu King was shocked and a little surprised. Sure enough, the Xian people really couldn't be underestimated. Their foundations were shocking, and just the immortal martial 36 forms was already an unparalleled technique. Once the 36 forms were merged into his body, the Tianwu King seemed to have obtained a new life. With a loud roar, the entire arena rumbled and trembled, as if it was about to explode. Su Yan, why aren't you kneeling down and bowing your head? At this moment, the Tianwu King was bursting with confidence. The golden blood essence around his body rumbled and tore the sky apart. It was too powerful, and all the sages in the sky were scared. They felt that if they were hit by the Tianwu King's blood essence, they would die. What was invincible combat strength? Was this the limit of the sage realm? Once the immortal martial true body was formed, it was domineering and terrifying. It was like a young martial emperor who ruled the world with his martial art. It was like an invincible expert who dominated the battlefield. It was powerful and invincible, and all the geniuses of the same generation were trembling. This was just too domineering. Xian Weihuan was excited. The Xian people finally had a successor, a young emperor, an immortal monarch. He believed that this generation's Tianwu king would become the new leader of the immortal cave. Loser! Su Yan's body swooped down in an instant, flowing with a terrifying radiance. His speed was so terrifying that it was difficult to look at him directly. In a short time, he seemed to have crossed millions of miles, crossing an ancient world. Kill! Kill! The Tianwu king roared, but there was another roar that was even more intimidating than the Tianwu king's. Su Yan crossed over with extreme speed. Under the heaven, earth, and man three senses state, he activated divine feet. Like a rock spreading its wings, he rushed towards the Tianwu king at the fastest speed in the world. He let out a long roar and exploded. His body was vast, and in an instant it filled the sky. Like a grain of sand, his aura was as violent as lightning, and he turned into an emperor star of the universe. Lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. Su Yan seemed to have turned into a supreme god, pushing the universe forward. As he stretched out his arms, the sea of stars in the sky was vast and majestic, filled with ancient majesty. This was a supreme Tao technique, the heaven, earth, and man three senses. This scene was especially shocking. The entire arena was shaking, almost unable to bear the weight of Su Yan's huge body. His huge arms were like the hands of a boundless galaxy, filling the universe and pressing down. This scene shocked the spectators in the imperial city. This was too domineering. So what if it was the immortal martial true body? The heavens seemed to have turned into Su Yan's arms. With a rumble and rotation, it was enough to suppress the vast world. There was no electricity in the morning, so the update was late. Many brothers were waiting anxiously to see me with their blades. I was a little panicked, so I had to add another chapter. Chapter 1974. What kind of supreme art is this? The experts cried out in shock. Su Yan's figure changed. His celestial phenomenon was so huge that it seemed to be howling in the imperial city. All of a sudden, the immortal martial true body appeared somewhat short and small. This was too domineering, forcing King Tianwu to use his strongest technique. On the other hand, Su Yan had evolved a great divine ability that could shock the world and make ghosts and deities cry. Heaven, earth, and man, the immortal monarch had his hands behind his back. His expression was calm. When he noticed the ancient secret art Su Yan used, his eyes flashed with surprise. King Tiandao's face was gloomy. Su Yan came to the immortal cavern for less than a year, and he had already mastered the complete supreme art of wrestling dragon. Now, he had also mastered the supreme inheritance, heaven, earth, and man. This was a legendary inheritance in the immortal world. There were very few people who mastered this supreme inheritance in the immortal cavern. Now that it had fallen into Su Yan's hands, some of the immortal elders were moved. They didn't expect Su Yan to use this move. This kid's talent was really extraordinary. Was King Tianwu going to lose? Although the supreme art King Tianwu used was extraordinary, don't forget that heaven, earth, and man was a supreme inheritance. Boom! The heavens and earth trembled. Su Yan's domineering aura overflowed. His palms pressed down on King Tianwu. One could see King Tianwu's terrifying body trembling faintly. It was as if he couldn't control his body and was about to explode. Roar! He roared in a low voice as the ancestral blood in his body ignited, obtaining an even more terrifying strength. His immortal true body grew stronger and stronger as the chanting of scriptures continued unceasingly. It was like the slumbering immortal martial emperor was awakening, causing a terrifying tempest to erupt forth. Immortal martial true body, invincible! King Tianwu roared. His entire body flowed with boundless immortal martial light, enough to destroy the environment of the immortal world. he blocked the huge palms descending from the sky. Then, he rose from the ground and rushed to the top of the dome of heaven, charging towards King Equaling Heaven, who was in the state of celestial phenomenon. Along the way, terrifying energy ripples spread out. It could easily crush saints. King Tianwu's battle stance changed completely. He was domineering and terrifying. He was like a young, immortal martial great emperor, killing Su Yan. Kill. The two powerhouses roared as the pinnacle great saints contended for supremacy. Dazzling light shot out in all directions, so dazzling that it was almost to the point of tears. Especially Su Yan's eyes, and King Tianwu's movements were as deep as the heavens and earth. Was King. The entire world's youngsters were silent. Was this the peak of battle strength? Even the strongest Saint Realm arena was about to collapse. Dong. Su Yan's fist imprint was unparalleled in the world. It brought with it a world-destroying storm. It emitted an even more ferocious fist aura. Powerful, extremely powerful. King Tianwu's movements were slowed by the heaven's eye. No matter how powerful his divine energy was, it was hard for him to resist Su Yan's strength. He chanted sutras and evolved layers of defensive technique. He wanted to stop Su Yan. Who would have thought that Su Yan's body would shine brightly? On top of the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, he quickly circulated the supreme dragon wrestling technique. With a raise of his hand, he resonated with the universe and pressed down with boundless strength. Pooh! King Tianwu screamed. His body was covered in cracks. He was about to explode. Impossible! The experts who respected King Tianwu lost control and roared. How could this be? The experts of the older generation lost their composure. This foundation was too terrifying. Su Yan was able to use two unparalleled supernatural powers and circulate them perfectly. His combat experience was extremely rich, but it indicated that Su Yan's foundation was too shocking. He's hiding his strength. The experts of the reincarnation race felt gloomy. Su Yan was definitely hiding his strength. He had passed the 5 trials. It was not as simple as the records said. Bastard Xian Weihuan's expression changed. They were in big trouble. The heaven, earth, and man comprehension in addition to the supreme dragon wrestling technique were all peak killing technique. Once he fought Su Yan in close combat, King Tianwu would be in danger. Immortal martial true body, invincible under the heavens. King Tianwu roared. The top of his head surged with the light of qi and blood. It burned fiercely and gave him great strength. He wanted to counterattack. However, his problem was serious. Su Yan was getting fiercer and fiercer. The heaven and earth were disintegrated and the immortal martial energy was destroyed. After these days of sparring with King Tianwu, Su Yan gained a lot of experience. Therefore, once he went crazy, King Tianwu could not stop him. Lost, he's going to lose. Everyone was shocked. King Tianwu was already forced to burn his life, but he still could not stop Su Yan. Su Yan's punches drew blood. Cracks appeared on King Tianwu's body. Bloody holes appeared one after another. In fact, King Tianwu was not weak. Otherwise, he would have been beaten up by Su Yan. Stop! Xian Weihuan shouted. Xian Weihuan angrily roared. He had no choice but to shout. If King Tianwu continues to persist, he will be severely injured and will be in danger. No, King Tianwu roared. How could he admit defeat so easily? If you're not convinced, then come at me. Su Yan was at the peak of his strength. He was like a saint king revered by heaven and earth. He looked down at King Tianwu and roared, I'll crush you! I won't lose, I won't! Monarch Tianwu's blood-drenched body suddenly burst into flames. His divine light reached 100,000 feet. A deep and deafening chanting of sutras came from his body. It was as if an immortal king was roaring and a supreme emperor was preaching the Tao. It was clearly chanting, but it gave people a terrifying pressure. The younger generation felt a chill from head to toe. What is that? The primal chaos immortal king's face sank. King Tianwu seemed to have transformed into the Tao. His blood and bones were burning, and his pores were spewing out raging flames. Along with the supreme order and Tao techniques, he seemed to be destroying the stars in the sky. This was the immortal world. Daesong had reversed his strength and unleashed such a killing order. One could only imagine how powerful he was. Xian Weihuan's face was extremely ugly. This was a desperate move. Once he used it, he would lose too much. He would need a long time to recuperate. He would enter a period of weakness. Moreover, it was hard to recover from this period of weakness. Some experts who had participated in the Great War of Immortals and Demons with King Tianwu could see that this was the ultimate move King Tianwu used to win the war. This was a desperate move. The Chaos Immortal Elder glared at Xian Weihuan and roared, "Why are you still not stopping him?" Xian Weihuan's face was gloomy. The Great War of Immortals and Demons was about to begin. If King Tianwu was injured, how could he participate? However, if he stopped him, it would be the same as admitting defeat. With King Tianwu's desperate strength, he might even be able to kill Su Yan. If he died, how would he explain it to the Grand Immortal Elder? The Immortal Lord came. He was a handsome man with a graceful bearing. He said calmly, "Chaos Immortal Elder, it's inevitable that people of the same generation will fight to the death. If you stop King Tianwu, it will affect his confidence." The Chaos Immortal Elder looked at the Immortal Lord and asked, "Are you sure King Tianwu can win?" Winning and losing is a common thing in war. The Immortal Lord stood with his hands behind his back. He had a noble temperament and did not reveal anything. He could be said to be unfathomable. He said, "This concerns the honor of the Emperor race. Chaos Immortal Elder, you don't have to say anything." The Chaos Immortal Elder snorted. They would not shed tears until they saw the coffin. Boom! King Tianwu's burning body emitted a tyrannical aura that shook the entire universe. The entire battle arena was rumbling. King Tianwu seemed to have assimilated with the supreme law of order. Vaguely, a majestic emperor's aura appeared, commanding the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Emperor's horoscope technique, the strongest technique of the immortal martial emperor's lineage. How can Su Yan, who came from the mortal world, be a match for him? Could it be that he wants to fight to the death? Everyone cried out in shock. This was a true emperor's horoscope technique. It was unrivaled. The entire sky was evaporated, turning into a huge black hole. Kill. King Tianwu went berserk. It was as if he had turned into a young immortal martial emperor. His aura filled the entire sky. Corpses of deities prostrated beneath his feet. His killing intent towered into the sky. This terrifying phenomenon, the scene of the heavens being dyed in blood, it was as if the immortal martial emperor had been reborn in his youth. Immortal martial emperor, your strength can reach the heavens, your martial arts can reach the gods. Puny little Su Yan, come forth and accept your death. The Tianwu king's left palm contained boundless heavenly energy as he unleashed another unrivaled technique. The Tu De Li's powers resonated, filling up the entire arena as an invincible giant appeared, capable of crushing all his enemies. The entire arena trembled. The immortal martial emperor's silhouette appeared. Step by step, the heavens and earth trembled. His strength was so great that it could penetrate the heavens and earth. His innate techniques were unrivaled throughout the past and present, brimming with emperor's might. The terrifying killing intent caused the experts of the same generation to tremble. Even the emperors felt their hair stand on end. Who could contend against him? The incarnation of the immortal martial emperor had already appeared, wanting to suppress all his enemies. Su Yan looked extremely tiny, lacking the domineering aura he exuded. However, as he walked over step by step, it was like he was stepping on the corpses of countless emperors. His silhouette gradually grew more and more majestic until it became blurry. It was like he was in the midst of 100 reincarnations, standing at the peak of the heavens, exuding a heaven-destroying aura. Immortal Martial Emperor, I wonder if you are dead or alive. Su Yan's voice was like thunder from the 9 heavens, reverberating through the heavens and earth. Since you want to revive, I will send you through the cycle of reincarnation, allowing you to see the great Tao of eternal life. Su Yan's palms rose up, causing the dome of heavens to tremble as the heavens and earth were flipped upside down. The heavens and earth darkened as ghosts cried and gods howled. 100 reincarnations appeared, causing the heavens and earth to wither, falling into the cycle of life and death. Reincarnation, heaven-destroying Tao. Su Yan roared. His palm blade shone brilliantly, radiating a snowy light as it cleaved downwards, covering the entire dome of heavens. The dome of heavens and earth exploded as the impact shook the heavens and the earth. The entire arena turned blurry and dark before a heaven-destroying aura erupted forth, capable of destroying the great Tao of heavens and earth. Reincarnation, heavenly saber. A shocking scene appeared. The majestic heavenly saber was as bright as the sea. The instant it cleaved downwards, it transformed into a guillotine that could sever the world, slashing down on the immortal martial emperor's phantom. Kacha. The 1,000,000-meter-tall arena suddenly crumbled, and a 1,000,000-meter-wide crack appeared on it. The terrifying saber light cleaved apart the immortal martial emperor's phantom. Even the Tianwu king's body was torn apart by Su Yan's saber. The Tianwu king's body was directly cleaved into 2 as blood splattered all over the arena. Chapter 1975. Big Goldie laughed heartily. Once one comprehended the essence of the 10 heaven-punishing ultimate arts of the human world, how could they be weaker than an emperor's fate ultimate art? Back then, Su Yan stepped onto the reincarnation mountain and grew through 100 reincarnations. Year after year, he comprehended the Tao and finally created his own reincarnation heaven-punishing Tao. One had to know that this Tao contained the supreme reincarnation Tao. Who said that the immortal world's emperor's race could look down on the human world? Back then, the sky-burying cave had nurtured peerless geniuses and produced peerless talents. Anyone who cultivated any of the sky-vanquishing secret arts to the highest level could compete with a peak grand divine power. 100 reincarnations contained the great Tao of each generation's reincarnation heaven-punishing Tao. This was the inheritance of the great Tao. He's dead. The world was filled with blood. It was very pungent. The spectators below the stage were all dumbfounded. They didn't dare to believe all this. King Tianwu had been slashed by force. He had even used his ultimate art, but he was still slashed by force. He was slashed into 2. It was hard to believe what level Su Yan's saber art was at. Xian Weihuan roared. His emotions were fluctuating, and his eyes were bloodshot. All of this had overturned their thinking. They thought that King Tianwu's ultimate art could kill Su Yan. But who knew that Su Yan had broken the immortal martial ultimate art and even slashed King Tianwu in half? Could he still survive? No, King Tianwu, the entire Emperor city was in an uproar. Countless cultivators trembled, and some of them were almost torn apart. It was because these were old monsters with terrifying auras erupting one after another, every single one of their chi and blood piercing through the heavens, their magical projections millions and millions of zhang tall. This was a group of terrifying creatures roaring, releasing endless forbidden heavenly might. They rushed up to the Emperor City's stage, wanting to kill Su Yan. Kill! These creatures were completely crazy. They had lost their minds, and their eyes were bloodshot. King Tianwu had died, and the genius of the Emperor race had died on the stage. How could they bear it? Su Yan's body was majestic, and he released a terrifying ferocious chi. His palm was bleeding, and the Emperor's divine ability was not made of paper. It had injured Su Yan, but King Tianwu had been slashed by him. That was a glorious achievement. Cold light shot out from Su Yan's eyes. He turned into a terrifying demon god as he looked down at the experts of the immortal clan who were charging toward the Imperial City arena one after another in an attempt to kill him. He's gone mad. The expressions of the older generation changed drastically. Daring to use force in Imperial City, directly charging towards Su Yan, did he not want to live anymore? Stop, stop. Xian Weihuan, this was King Tianwu's Emperor Cities. He was emperor. Was the emperor. How dare you? Suddenly, heaven and earth trembled violently. The majesty of an ancient dragon swept across the entire Emperor City. The majestic divine might sent chills down the immortal king's spines. This was the anger of a supreme being who had come out of seclusion. Boom! An ancient hand reached out from the immortal cave. The young emperor's heaven-covering hand was a joke in front of the great immortal elder's divine might. This was the real heaven-covering hand. Even the stars in the Emperor City were covered. The huge hand slowly covered the Xian people. One after another, the crazy experts of the Xian people were smashed into pieces and exploded into bloody light. Everyone in the world felt their hair stand on end. Who was this person? One had to know that they had arrived in the blink of an eye and killed several outlawed experts of the immortals who had gone berserk. These people did not even cause a ripple in the slightest. Their deaths did not affect them at all. The old monsters in the city were shocked. Was it the immortal cave's giant that had awakened? Was it the great immortal elder? Ancient divine might spread throughout the Emperor City. The entire city was silent. Heavens! In the next moment everyone was shocked. The ancient hand explored all directions, killing all the experts of the Xian people who were emitting killing intent. The Emperor City was dyed in blood, causing a great earthquake. At least a few dozen experts died. No matter how strong or weak they were, not a single one was left alive. This was the space-time emperor. His methods were tyrannical and iron-blooded. Those who dared to emit killing intent would be killed immediately. The immortal monarch was silent, not saying a word. Stupid to the extreme. Xian Weihuan's entire body trembled. They had all died, shocking the experts of the 10,000 races in the world. The might of an expert could not be humiliated. The ninth immortal elder could not control himself, but it was not because of these people's deaths that he emitted killing intent. He roared in a low voice, "Great immortal elder, Tianwu King has been defeated. I hope great immortal elder can save his life. The Xian people will be eternally grateful." Tianwu King had already been hacked by Su Yan. Xian Weihuan did not have an immortal king regeneration pill at all. On the arena there was fresh blood. The broken corpse was still struggling, not completely dead. Although the Xian people were of the emperor race and could save Tianwu King's life, there was not enough time, unless the great immortal elder intervened. "Great immortal elder, I have something to say." The chaos immortal elder stood up, making Xian Weihuan's expression turn ugly. Was he going to stop it? "I have already warned ninth immortal elder. At this point in the battle between peers, the life and death is not Su Yan's problem. I hope great immortal elder will not blame Su Yan." The chaos immortal elder did not say anything else. He followed the great immortal elder's will. Tianwu King attacked first, and Su Yan resisted with all his might. Even if Tianwu King died, it had nothing to do with Su Yan. "I already know." The great immortal elder's hand swept across the arena. Tianwu King's broken body healed, but his life was in danger. He could die at any moment. "He is saved?" Baokai was furious. The great immortal elder was known as the Spacetime Emperor, so buying some time for Tianwu King was nothing. However, as long as the great immortal elder slowed down, Tianwu King would not be able to live. However, his life was really tough. The great immortal elder is the head of the 10 great immortal elders. Heavenly Dragon Lady said softly, "If we don't save him, the Xian people will be furious. Of course, the most important thing is that the great immortal elder is impartial and does not mix in any personal grudges. That's right, Baokai. Although you all have grudges with the Xian people, the great immortal elder is still the great immortal elder. Otherwise, how could he be the head of the Immortal Elder Academy? Tianwu King nodded. He would not side with Su Yan or the Xian people. Baokai calmed down. What he said was right. He naturally respected the great immortal elder, as expected of the Immortal Cave's protector. He would not side with anyone. If Su Yan made a mistake, the great immortal elder would punish him directly. This was the great immortal elder that everyone respected and respected. Thank you, great immortal elder. Xian Weihuan calmed down. He could not care about anything else. Tianwu King's life was hanging by a thread. He had to be brought back to his family for treatment. The Xian people left. The huge matter had come to an end. Su Yan won. Everyone looked at him with complicated emotions. The human world's top genius defeated Tianwu King. From now on, he would be at the peak of the immortal world's younger generation. This was an unparalleled honor. If this spread out, it would shake the entire immortal world. In a battle between peers, no emotions can be mixed in. The great immortal elder's majestic voice swept through the city. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. The entire city was in an uproar. Was he protecting Su Yan? The various races listed Su Yan as someone they could not offend. Moreover, with this person's potential, he would definitely receive the great immortal elder's attention. The Xian people, the reincarnation Tharch race, the starry sky Tharch race, the Tenrai of Beach, these people were too indignant. They originally thought that they could use this opportunity to get rid of Su Yan. In the end, Su Yan's strength had refreshed their understanding. He must have held back when he was challenging the 5 most difficult challenges. Su Yan, you should die in the great immortal demon war. The Tenrai of Beach roared in his heart. You insisted on participating in the great immortal demon war. If you encounter the strongest opponent in the dark world, let's see if you can return alive. With Su Yan's current combat strength, he would most likely be one of the main contestants. This was a great honor. At the same time, it was also a death sentence. In short, the Tenrai of Beach's heart was filled with malice. Brother Immortal Lord, are you not going to ask any more? The Tiandao monarch frowned as he watched the Immortal Lord leave. He walked up and said, Great Immortal Elder also said that it's a competition between peers. Hearing this, the Immortal Lord looked at the Tiandao monarch calmly and said softly, This is considered a good thing. It's not that bad. King Tianwu's foundation is very strong. The immortal martial emperor's ultimate technique is even stronger. Why? Brother Immortal Lord, do you think this is a spur for King Tianwu and will make him transform? The Tiandao monarch was a little surprised. I'm talking about a good thing, the Immortal Lord said indifferently. Over the years, the great immortal demon war has mostly been fought by the old. If an absolute newcomer participates, there will be a lot of support. The Tiandao monarch was shocked. How could he not understand the meaning behind the Immortal Lord's words? Once the great immortal demon war started, Su Yan might be one of the main contestants. The death rate would be shocking. A person from the lower realm working for the immortal world. It seems very interesting. The Tiandao monarch suddenly laughed, and the malice in his heart deepened. Of course, the Tiandao monarch didn't think that Su Yan would be invincible. Once he lost, he would lose his life. But if he won, his influence would sweep through the immortal world, shocking the past and the present. Actually, there was another reason why the Immortal Lord didn't participate. The great immortal elder disliked the internal fights of the immortal cave. If the Immortal Lord went after King Tianwu, the great immortal elder would be unhappy. It was obviously a tag team battle. The immortal emperor city was in turmoil. The experts of the various sects looked at Su Yan, who walked down from the stage. They were very wary of this expert who could even defeat King Tianwu. Brother Barbarian God. Su Yan laughed and walked over. You came too late. It would have been better if you came earlier. Haha, it's fine. Let me tell you something good. The barbarian god whispered into Su Yan's ear. The Chaos Immortal Elder had told him that King Tianwu might be stripped of his spot. Then, the barbarian god would get the spot he deserved. However, the Chaos Immortal Elder didn't let the barbarian god spread this news. Congratulations! Haha! Su Yan exclaimed. Indeed, King Tianwu had just been defeated. It wasn't suitable for him to participate in the Immortal Demon War. Su Yan introduced the barbarian god to the Heavenly Power King and the others. This was a small group, but it was also very intimidating. The 4 participants of the Immortal Demon War gathered together. It was a beautiful scene in the Immortal Emperor City. Originally, the Heavenly Dragon Maiden had suggested finding a place to celebrate. Su Yan had won more than 10 million points. Adding his own accumulation, the wealth he had was frightening. The Heavenly Power King was very jealous. He wanted Su Yan to go to the Immortal King Tower and hold a table. Su Yan, the Great Immortal Elder wants you to go over. Go now. The Chaos Immortal Elder came to inform Su Yan. His eyes flashed with seriousness. At this juncture, the Great Immortal Elder wanted Su Yan to go over. It was no small matter. The Heavenly Dragon Maiden's eyes flashed with surprise. Do you think the Great Immortal Elder can? The Heavenly Power King wanted to say something but stopped. The Great Immortal Elder's condition wasn't good. Moreover, they knew that the Great Immortal Elder had been looking for a successor, but there was no one. Then, would it fall on Su Yan? Don't guess blindly. The Heavenly Dragon Maiden whispered. The technique Su Yan used just now should have originated from the human world's reincarnation heaven punishing Tao. It contains the mysteries of the universe and touches on the domain of time. Although the Great Immortal Elder has been looking for a disciple, Su Yan might not be suitable for the Great Immortal Elder's legacy. That's hard to say. The Heavenly Power King was expectant. 9 Heaven's Divine Emperor. Chapter 1976. The Great Immortal Elder's cave abode was not on the Imperial planet. The Chaos Immortal Elder brought Su Yan into the resplendent starry sky. One of the silver stars was the Great Immortal Elder's cave abode. Go, Su Yan. The Chaos Immortal Elder stood guard nearby. This area was a forbidden zone. Without his guidance, Su Yan could not enter or leave. Su Yan took a deep breath, suppressing his emotions. This silver star did not look too big from the outside. But once you stepped inside, you would be standing in a majestic spacetime. The rivers and mountains were majestic, and the sound of a great waterfall echoed in your ears. The air here was pure and there was no pressure from the environment. It was hard to imagine that this was the cave abode of an emperor. This was a world of silver. Birds chirped and flowers bloomed. Birds and beasts could be seen everywhere. Su Yan walked and saw a lake. The small silver lake rippled. At first, Su Yan did not pay attention to it. He walked past the lake. Su Yan was shocked. His deep eyes focused on the silver-colored lake. This lake was somewhat unusual. The rippling silver-colored lake water flowed one after another. Although it looked very small, it actually contained a concept that was difficult to describe. This is... Su Yan's eyes suddenly widened. He activated his heavenly eye. This was the heavenly eye divine ability of the 3 senses of heaven, earth, and man. It could peer into the 9 hells purgatory and see the sun, moon, and stars. Su Yan's eyes were resplendent as he looked at the silver lake. It still looked so ordinary. However, it was precisely because of this that Su Yan was surprised. His heaven's eye was actually unable to see through the entire silver lake. Su Yan reached out and tried to grab the lake water. But the lake was like an illusion. Su Yan's expression was solemn. He felt that this was the Great Immortal Elder's treasure and could not be touched. He immediately left. However, Su Yan found that no matter how he walked, he could not cross the silver lake. It was like he was standing at the origin. He even used his divine feet, but still could not cross. Su Yen was shocked. What kind of treasure was this? Similarly, the great immortal elder placed the lake here. Could it be that this was a test for him? At the thought of this, Su Yen calmed down. He stood in front of the silver lake, and his heavenly eye was withdrawn. His Tao heart shone as he used his heart to comprehend the silver lake. Gradually, Su Yen acutely noticed a strand of blurry spacetime fluctuation. It was very calm at first, but it gradually surged and erupted. It was vast, boundless, and extremely terrifying. It caused Su Yen to completely lose the ability to resist, and his body became slightly weak. In the next moment, his spiritual sea fiercely trembled. What he had experienced was somewhat outrageous, as if the light of countless years had suddenly erupted. Under the influence of this endless time and space, Su Yen was so insignificant that he wasn't even worth mentioning, not even a speck of dust. Boom! Su Yan's Yuan Shen suddenly shone brightly, breaking free from the strange energy shrouding him. Otherwise, if he stayed in this special spacetime for a long time, it would affect Su Yan's path to becoming a strong cultivator. His entire body shone with divine light, and the light was boundless. He was like a terrifying god-fiend that roared and shook the world. The moment his Yuan Shen and flesh merged, he became even more powerful, shaking off the influence of the strange spacetime. Su Yen regained his clarity, and once again looked at the silver lake. He had changed. He was ancient and majestic. The ripples on the lake's surface were one after another. Each ripple was enough to sweep through the long river of time and space, open a black hole in time, and destroy a part of the universe. It was so powerful that it was indescribable. At this moment, Su Yen felt as if he was facing the heaven burial sea. One had to know that there were at least billions of these ripples, but each of them seemed to contain irreversible time and space-time. They were matchless and invincible, and could severely injure an immortal king. Su Yen was dumbfounded. What kind of treasure was this? This was too abnormal. Was this an immortal emperor expert? To be able to react so quickly, your spiritual will is very strong. The great immortal elder had arrived. He was old and feeble, and he didn't have the majesty of his heyday. He walked on the ripples as if he was traveling through time and space. He came from afar, and his aura instantly became terrifying. Heavens! At this moment, he was the space-time emperor. He had suddenly declined, but his divine might was still unparalleled, and the entire world was filled with supreme majesty. Junior Su Yen greets the great immortal elder. Su Yen walked forward and bowed, saying, "Many thanks for the great immortal elder's care these days. Su Yen will never forget it." Come, come, come! The great immortal elder raised his hand and moved Su Yen onto the silver lake. The atmosphere between heaven and earth became even more berserk. The silver lake was like the heavenly sea of time and space, like the long river of fate. Su Yan's ears were filled with the rumbling of time and space. Su Yan's body and mind were about to split apart. This silver lake was too terrifying. It looked very small, but it was actually boundlessly large. It was like the eye of the sea of time was rotating, causing all things in the heavens and the stars in the universe to begin to explode around the awakening of the silver lake. One had to know that this was the power of time and space. Once it was affected, it would lead to unimaginable consequences. Perhaps Su Yen would instantly age. Su Yan's scalp went numb. If not for the great immortal elder's power protecting Su Yen, it was hard to imagine what kind of disaster he would have encountered. There was no way to stop it at all. Immortal kings would most likely die if they fell into it. Great immortal elder, is this the Emperor's fate supreme treasure? Su Yen exclaimed. He was deeply shocked by the power of this lake. This was the strongest treasure, right? It is and it isn't. The great immortal elder said proudly. This set of supreme treasures of mine is not just a supreme treasure. Back then, I accidentally got lucky and dug out the remains of a realm wall in the Three Realms Battlefield's Three-World Mountain. Only then did I forge the Three Realms Heavenly River. The great immortal elder's natal supreme treasure was the spacetime Heavenly River, and the Silver Lake was named the Three Realms Heavenly River by him. Realm Wall Remnant Mark? Su Yen was astonished. He didn't understand what kind of treasure this was. The Three Realms Heavenly River has a realm wall. This is the universe's membrane, and it contains the heavenly laws of order. The great immortal elder revealed a rare proud smile and said, "Back then, I invited many experts to help me refine it, and in the end, I forged the spacetime Heavenly River. This treasure is considered a first-rate supreme treasure in the immortal world. I believe that in the domain of spacetime, it can be ranked in the top 3. Su Yan's hair stood on end. Was this the strongest supreme treasure? The dark world, immortal world, and human world's corners of the universe were all refined into the spacetime Heavenly River by the great immortal elder. No wonder this set of treasures was so abnormal and ridiculous. This was also the supreme treasure that the great immortal elder was so proud of. It was precisely because of the spacetime Heavenly River that he could stand on equal footing with the Xian people's 3 ancestors. With how terrifying the spacetime emperor was, if he had the help of this supreme treasure, he would naturally be like a tiger that had grown wings. Dare I ask the great immortal elder, what is an emperor? Su Yen suddenly asked. The immortal world's emperor was naturally different from the human world. At the same time, he sighed at the heavenly fate in the Three Realms battlefield. There were great fortunes and opportunities. For someone like the great immortal elder, the heavenly fate in this world was really too rare. When one walks a path to the extreme and breaks through the supreme laws and profound mysteries, perhaps one can be called an emperor. The great immortal elder said softly, "Follow me." The great immortal elder brought Su Yen across the spacetime Heavenly River and arrived at the depths of the cave. There was a bamboo forest filled with immortal fog. This was the great immortal elder's place of cultivation. He gestured for Su Yen to sit down. The atmosphere was a bit silent. "Su Yen, you came from the human world." The great immortal elder sat cross-legged and said softly, "Living in the immortal world these years has not been easy, right? I've made the great immortal elder worry." Su Yan's expression was calm as he said, "Some powers want my life. If it wasn't for the Phoenix King's protection, I don't know where I would be right now. If it wasn't for the Heavenly Monkey King speaking up for me, I'm afraid there would be no place for me in the immortal world." The great immortal elder was a person of virtue and prestige in the immortal world. He looked at Su Yen and sighed, 30 million years, right? Back then, the Lord of the Celestial Court attacked the immortal world, forcing the Xian people and the reincarnation emperor race to the brink of disintegration. Now you are standing in the immortal world, bearing the burden of karma. To be able to reach this point, it is enough to show that you are not weak. The great immortal elder looked at the sky and said in a low voice, "After so many years, Su Yen, you say the heavens? How is the Lord of the Celestial Court now?" "I don't know." Su Yen shook his head and said in a low voice, "The descendants of the Celestial Court Emperor are still alive. Back then, the Xian people and the reincarnation emperor race came to the human world through the immortal gate, wanting to judge the Celestial Court. I understand the grudge between them. They were almost exterminated. How could they let it go? The Xian people and the reincarnation emperor race have a long history. Back then, the Lord of the Celestial Court chased the celestial tyrant emperor to the immortal world, causing a historical tragedy. The great immortal elder sighed. After so many years, the Lord of the Celestial Court attacked the dark world, causing great damage to the dark world. That was why the immortal world was able to recover for tens of millions of years. He has made great contributions to the immortal world. To the great immortal elder and the others, the lord of the celestial court was worthy of respect and reverence. However, to the Xian people and other powers, they naturally hated him. How could this hatred be resolved so easily? He looked at Su Yan and asked, "You came from the celestial court and were targeted by the emperor race. Are you sincerely participating in the great war of the immortals and demons?" "If I say that I'm doing my best to serve the immortal world, great immortal elder, you won't believe me." Su Yan exuded a biting cold aura and said, "I'm determined to participate in the war for the immortal king's fortune." Ha ha! Ha 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 ha! The great immortal elder looked up to the sky and laughed. His gray hair danced in the wind, and he exuded a heroic spirit and great ambition. He hadn't seen such a straightforward and confident young man for many years. If the Xian people and other powers knew what Su Yan was thinking, who knew what they would think? Perhaps they would think that he was a lunatic. The great immortal elder, who knew Su Yan's combat strength, didn't think that he was dreaming. He looked at Su Yan and said expectantly, "Go, rest for a few days, and then go explore the abyssal ocean. If you perform well, I might be able to give you a great opportunity." The next moment, Su Yan's figure appeared in the outside world. The Chaos Immortal Elder was curious about what Su Yan had talked to Su Yan about. "Chaos Immortal Elder, is the abyssal ocean very difficult to pass?" Su Yan asked. "The abyssal ocean?" The Chaos Immortal Elder smiled. "You're preparing to pass it. The abyssal ocean is naturally difficult. None of the immortal cave's disciples have passed it. The strongest record is the 32nd level. Su Yan, with your mental strength, you might have a great chance of standing on the 32nd level." Su Yan was a bit curious. The great immortal elder had asked him to explore the abyssal ocean, but he didn't say how many levels he could pass to give him an opportunity. Su Yan returned to the astral cave with a heavy heart. Bamboo Moon stood in the courtyard. Her skin was smooth and her eyes were bright. She had a dignified and noble temperament. The sky was filled with starlight and moonlight. Bamboo Moon was like a goddess of the galaxy. She looked at Su Yan with a smile on her face. She looked bright and gentle. "Su Yan, King Tianwu has been defeated. The Xian people won't let this matter rest." Bamboo Moon walked over and grabbed Su Yan's arm. She said worriedly, "I feel that it won't be peaceful. Especially when we're about to go to the Three Realms battlefield. I don't know what will happen on the way." Su Yan looked at Bamboo Moon's snow-white and delicate face. He couldn't help but ask, "If I die in battle and don't leave behind a child, wouldn't that be a great regret in life?" "Don't jinx it." Bamboo Moon fiercely hammered Su Yan. However, when it came to bloodline descendants, Bamboo Moon was a bit anxious. It had been a long time, but she still hadn't had any reaction. She also knew that the stronger one's cultivation was, the lower the chances of having children. Su Yan had suppressed his cultivation in the Daesong realm for a long time. If he couldn't have children, once Su Yan entered the Imperial realm in the future, it would be even harder for him to have children. "Bamboo Moon, what are you thinking about?" Su Yan looked at the absent-minded Bamboo Moon, and suddenly smiled evilly. Bamboo Moon's face turned slightly red. She suddenly asked, "I saw the Empress just now. She's really elegant. She's worthy of being the #1 woman in the immortal realm. Su Yan, with your current status, there should be many women who admire you in the immortal realm, right?" Su Yan defeated King Tianwu. On the way back, many beautiful women in the immortal cave were talking about Su Yan. This made Bamboo Moon a bit irritated. Chapter 1977. Bamboo Moon stared at Su Yan, and the glow on her face dimmed a little. In this vast cultivation world, there were thousands of powerful men and tens of thousands of women. With Su Yan's current prestige, even the proud daughters of heaven in the core area of the immortal cave had some admirers. No, it must be the Baokai talking nonsense. Su Yan hurriedly denied. The Tai Baokai ran out fiercely. It was not going to take the blame for this. Su Yen kicked the Baokai away and held on to Bamboo Moon for a few days. Her face glowed again, and she was also looking forward to having her own children. "What's wrong with me?" Bamboo Moon murmured. She recalled the past. The Northern Dipper Fairy was in charge of a great sect. She was peerless in her generation and dominated the cultivation world. Back then, Bamboo Moon was so elegant. She had never thought of having children. Never. Following Su Yen, she experienced too many bloody storms. Now, Bamboo Moon really wanted to be a mother. In the future, she looked forward to living a peaceful life with Su Yen. This was her biggest wish now. But Su Yen had too many burdens. Every step in the immortal world was dangerous. The dangers in the future might be even more intense and cruel. Su Yen went to the dragon-slaying valley. Without any accidents, he broke through it and got another 3 million points. His points were about to break through 20 million. Su Yen treasured the remaining time and began to explore the abyssal ocean. The immortal cave was in an uproar. Now Su Yen was famous. He defeated King Tianwu, passed 6 obstacles in the immortal cave, and now went to the abyssal ocean. 6 of the 7 obstacles have been broken. I wonder how many levels of the abyssal ocean Su Yen can reach? Back then, Su Yen dominated the first mountain. He only spent a few breaths of time to break through the final abyssal ocean. He definitely has the will of an immortal king. It's not difficult to break through the 30th level. I think he has a high chance of standing at the 31st or 32nd level. Everyone in the immortal cave was in a heated discussion. If he could really stand at the 32nd level, it meant that Su Yan's will was infinitely close to the strongest level. This was a bit ridiculous. Everyone knew that the path of the strong required one's will. Otherwise, the abyssal ocean wouldn't be the most difficult level. Once one passed it, one would be given 10 million points. This was a number of the core disciples of the immortal cave. The world really has high expectations for Su Yen. As the Tiandao monarch walked over, the entire imperial planet was filled with gasps of surprise. How long had Su Yen been here? In less than a year, the current situation had changed, and he had risen to the peak. As the saying goes, the higher you stand, the harder you fall. Tiandao King's eyes flashed with coldness. How could the 32nd level be broken so easily? Even if he rushed over, once the great war of immortals and demons began, Su Yan's voice would be extremely shocking. He would represent the new generation of war gods in the immortal world and fight a bloody battle with the dark world. This is the abyssal ocean. Su Yen had arrived. He stood on the beach and looked into the distance. The pitch-black ocean emitted a boundless ferocious aura. It was like a slumbering black ferocious beast that wanted to swallow the entire sky and tear the universe apart. The spiritual storm surged and pressed on Su Yen from all directions. I wonder how many levels of heaven he can reach? The deacon in charge of the abyssal ocean watched Su Yen. He had already walked toward the black ocean. His figure was a little blurry. Even in this world of darkness, Su Yen exuded a towering power. The power of the strong surged. The strongest and most domineering. No matter how strong the mental deterrence that suppressed him was, Su Yan's journey was unimpeded. Gradually, a gust of wind arose on the surface of the sea. It roared and howled, and the dark whirlwinds came one after another, accompanied by the cries of gods and the cries of ghosts. Su Yan's black hair fell like a waterfall. His eyes were like cold lightning. The cold light shooting out of his eyes was even colder and more terrifying than the black storm on the surface of the sea. His flesh and blood blazed. His essence, chi, and spirit had completely changed. Below his feet was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Blood flowed endlessly. This was completely a vision formed by Su Yan's will. It was as if it was turning into a real scene of purgatory. This child is too fierce. The deacon of the abyssal ocean exclaimed. Was this a Daesong? How many creatures had he killed? The black ocean had changed. Bloody light overflowed. An overlord of gods and demons roared. The waves on the surface of the sea were 1,000,000 feet high. Open! Su Yen let out a loud roar. His courage was peerless, and the heaven-burying fist exploded with a bang. His body instantly became huge, as if it had filled the entire ocean. He erupted with his peak combat strength, and his fist suppressed the black ocean. Boom! Heaven and earth exploded. Terrifying essence, chi, and spirit pierced through the universe. Then, it pressed down from all directions. The black ocean was torn apart, forming an energy tide that could destroy heaven and earth. The deacon of the abyssal ocean widened his eyes. The scene in front of him made him feel disbelief. The ocean withstood the test of 30 heavens, but it was directly destroyed by Su Yan's fist. How strong was his spiritual will? It was comparable to an immortal king. His ferocious eruption tore through 30 heavens and stepped into a deep purgatory. The deacon of the abyssal ocean was silent. How many heavens could Su Yen break through? He couldn't enter the next 3 heavens. The abyssal ocean was the ultimate test created by the great immortal elder. Since he became the deacon of the abyssal ocean, this was the first time he saw such a tyrannical method breaking through 30 heavens. Immortal King's spiritual will pressure in the deep world, not a single blade of grass grew. The pressure was suffocating and unbearable. Su Yan's eyes flashed with killing intent. The heavenly power king's god and devil chessboard had the spiritual will pressure of an immortal king. How could this level of difficulty suppress Su Yen? With a loud roar, he had the ambition to devour heaven and earth. He transformed into a peerless overlord of a generation. He broke through with brute force. He waved his fist and destroyed this black river and mountain, shattering the murderous will of the immortal king that filled the sky. The 31st heaven was broken through. Su Yen crossed to the next level. The entire world was filled with supreme spiritual pressure. It was as if a vast and terrifying universe was crashing down, causing Su Yan's primordial spirit to tremble violently. His will seemed to have disintegrated. The spiritual pressure of a great success, immortal king. A trace of shock flashed in Su Yan's eyes. It was really powerful. It was like sharp blades of darkness that cut Su Yan's primordial spirit. The process was very painful. His primordial spirit seemed to have been stripped of its physical body and was imprisoned in purgatory to be cut into pieces. Su Yen roared. His eyes were vertical, and his black hair danced wildly. Every breath that passed was like an eternity. In the dark world, he couldn't even see his own fingers. The spiritual pressure that filled the sky had really turned into sharp blades of darkness that kept slashing at Su Yan's spiritual will. The longer he stayed here, the greater the threat of death he suffered. He felt that he was dying, and his flesh and blood was starting to disintegrate. It was difficult, really difficult. This was only the 32nd heaven. Then, the final level should be the test of the Emperor's spirit. Su Yen clenched his fists tightly, and his body trembled. The more he was suppressed, the more ferocious his spiritual chi became. It was so ferocious that he was like a demon lord trapped in hell, roaring and roaring. A heart-wrenching roar exploded. Su Yen looked up to the sky and roared. Layers of images were reflected in his blood-red eyes. From Earth, to the Big Dipper star region, to the Chaos ruins, to the immortal celestial region, to the immortal world, the humiliation of the Emperor family, the blood debt of the human world, and the tragic state of the celestial court. Su Yan's ferocious aura was agitated, and it disturbed the entire space. His boundless fighting spirit was burning in destruction and oppression. Suddenly, he rose from the ground and turned into a majestic shadow of the war god. He was filled with the belief that even the Emperor family would fall. "Open for me!" Su Yen roared furiously. His spiritual will had completely transformed, and it was reconstructed in disintegration. It awakened from death, and it stimulated the unparalleled ferocious aura all over his body. It destroyed the dark world, and opened a door to the 33rd heaven. "No one can stop me, no one!" Su Yen roared. His black hair danced like a waterfall, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. With an invincible spiritual will, he charged toward the 33rd heaven. He seemed to have fallen into the sea of death, and the whole world was silent. A boundless darkness, a vast and boundless dead zone. Every step was dangerous, and he would fall into eternal damnation if he advanced. Su Yan's body was cold. It was as if he had stepped into hell. This was a very terrifying influence. If billions of years had passed, the pitch-black abyss caused the fear in his body to rise. It spread throughout Su Yan's entire body, and it was interfering with his spiritual will. The silent influence was shocking and outrageous. Su Yan was going through the most terrifying test. He was going to commit suicide. It was too unbearable and despairing. In the whole world, he was the only living creature, and now he was also going to die. This was a kind of torture. Su Yan's eyes were bloodshot and his head was heavy. It was as if the sea of death was pressing down on his head. How much time has passed? Billions of years have passed. He was very weak and lethargic. His hair was gray, and he was no longer as heroic as he was in his prime. He had become very old. Even his pupils flashed with the cruel scene of his old friends dying, passing away, and dying of old age. He saw Bamboo Moon, Bing Shuang, Baokai, and the others. One by one, they were falling to their deaths. Time, how much time has passed? Who can tell me? Su Yen let out a beast-like roar. The scene was too realistic. Had billions of years really passed? He struggled in the land of death. His spiritual will flickered, like a primordial spirit lamp that was about to be extinguished. "I don't believe it." Su Yen forcefully pulled himself together. He didn't believe the scene he saw. This was fake. The test was affecting him. Nothing had happened. Suddenly Su Yen saw corpses. They were dripping with blood, and there were so many of them that it made his hair stand on end. The end of the road was filled with corpses. Every blood-stained corpse emitted a terrifying aura. Boom! A thunderclap exploded, shattering the universe. Su Yen looked into the horizon and saw a terrifying creature falling. "A major success, Immortal King!" Su Yen cried out in shock. A major success, Immortal King was falling to his death. Moreover, it wasn't just one. Large numbers of corpses fell, and they let out miserable cries. Each of them was terrifying and awe-inspiring. They could be called war gods of the immortal world. They wept blood in the sky. However, there were still countless experts and war gods charging to the end of this road. They were ascending to the heavens, ascending an indescribable path. Su Yen was shocked. This seemed to be the Emperor Road? The terrifying road was stained with blood. Major success, Immortal Kings fought with their lives on the road. They fought along the road, but they couldn't reach the end. They couldn't reach the peak. The pressure was suffocating and terrifying. It was as if they were facing the cruelest thing in the world. "I want to be conferred the title of Emperor," a terrifying existence roared. He stepped on the corpses of immortal kings and shouted. His voice resounded in time and space. "Great Immortal Elder." Su Yen was moved. It was a young great immortal elder who was exploring the Emperor Road. He was conferring the title of Emperor.